Hello, hello, greetings, or I should say, hello there, boys. What's going on? This is I guess, the third official episode of the Grifter and the SHILL, which is the Star Bros title for our latest Star Wars show with myself and Star Wars Philosophy, aka Sweep. He's going to be here soon. I thought I would jump on. He's having camera troubles, but I hate leaving people waiting when they've signed up to, when I say like it's going to be X time, then it's going to be X time. So I thought I'd just jump in and chat to you all before we get going because this is going to be a ranking show. Now, as you probably know, old Dashy, I love a good ranking of Star Wars. I love a good debate, and I love when people are, can I say respectful? Yeah, grifters versus shell. Yeah, so obviously I'm the grifter because I'm pretty outspoken EU fanboy. And how's it going, by the way? And Sweepy is definitely more, he's not been broken by Disney. He sees hope. He's young. He's still got his life ahead of him. Whereas me, I'm like, ugh, this is what I like, and I'm not changing my opinion. Like, I'm open, but I think that we've had the best run in Star Wars. Probably, I think 2010 is when it peaked, absolutely, but there are shining gems that come out later, and I think that that's why it's really cool to do a show where we're gonna rate just the TV shows together and see the differences, because I think the core differences, uh, between us, as I said, is that because we're friends, we can absolutely take a crack at each other in a kind of safe space. I don't want to, it's a horrible word, but more of like a haven where you can get two sides of the coin, two people who have contrasting opinions without it being ugly. Because I don't like how the fandom can't have a good debate anymore. The one thing I loved back in the day was if you loved or hated, say, like the prequels, you had to defend them. You didn't just attack the other person or whatever. So I'm excited to take a big wet bite out of Sweep's ass, phrasing, when he actually fucking gets here, because his camera keeps malfunctioning. So if everybody could give him a little bit of stick in the comments when he gets here, because I said to him, mate, I'm going live, baby. I'm not leaving people waiting. So before we jump in, phrasing, let's jump into some of the comments and chat. Dawn says, "You candor and takes are always appreciated, my dude. You're appreciated. Too many people losing their shit when they can't say, hey, I like this, I don't like this, but we can agree to disagree without melting down." Yeah, that's true. I'm not against a meltdown as long as it's pointed on the thing versus the person. I dislike when people use put downs, when they use name calling as the first off. I had a dude today on X. Believe it or not, somebody was not a good person to me on X, and they started an argument with a low level thing, which isn't really a name call, but it fucking drives me wild. Like, I want to just kill. It's so funny because I get so mad because he's like, "Hey, buddy," and then he starts his rethink, and it's so funny, especially Australians. I don't know if it's Americans too, and I lived in America, but in Australia, if you begin a conversation with like friend, buddy, mate, or whatever, and you can tell they're pissed, it's like this catty, passive aggressive version. So I was just like, right off, I knew that his argument was coming from a little saucy, sassy place. And I was like, oh, I'm, oh, you know what I mean? Instead of just saying, I disagree because I really like X, or I fucking hate, I don't care if you hate or like something, just say that thing. Don't start having a crack at me or tell me, like I said, oh, I'd like if we kept politics out of Star Wars discussions. It's inside Star Wars. It's Star War. It's in the name. But George had the good common sense to not, like, I know it's pre-social media, but to get on a pulpit and go on, ABC News and say half my audience are pieces of crap or whatever, all that kind of. I don't need to hear. I'm Australian. I don't need to talk about that. We can talk about the thing and have a good time. I want to have a good time. Do you want to have a good time? Disney's non-canon wild card Q4K, baby. I agree. It is. I used to want the EU to get annexed into canon. Now I don't give a flying fuck. I'm like, EU's my canon. I don't care about canon. You probably saw me 2015 squawking every time a Star Wars show came on. Oh my god, Ezra Bridges the new Star Killer. Now I'm like, baby, I don't care. I don't care if they bought out 17 Star Killer clones and they just, I don't know, gangbanged Vader and his Inquisitors. And like, I'd just be like, man, because I know somehow Disney would fumble that shit. I don't know how they can do it. It's all written there. And it's so funny to me. I understand. I get that even her in New Mexico, usually they call you curse words instead of buddy, mate, friend. I'd rather be called a curse word as an Australian. I would rather just call me. If someone was more direct and actually like said their piece a little bit more, I'd respect you. If you're like, hey, fucko, I'd be like, ooh, we're getting into hot. Well, like, don't do passive aggressive catty shit at me, bro. I'm Melvin. That's a name I haven't heard in a long time. What's up, dude? It's great. Great to be here. Cursing is at least honest. Hello, Dash. You play any games? USC Forge. We're on Discord and I'm building a community. This is my whole thing. I thought I've got to come back to Star Wars and just tell lore and shit. I honestly thought that's what I need, but seeing the state of the fandom, we're building community to discuss, to have the bros. And so we've got Star Wars The Old Republic cracking at the moment. If you look at the Discord link in the description or go for Dark Lore Dash at Discord, some people are talking about galaxies. I'm playing Heroes, Galaxy of Heroes every day, which is my little guilty pleasure before bed. Jedi Academy, I want to get a server up. I want Star Wars Hub for the bros. Hub bros, yo. It'll be so good. And also, I had this realization, and that you may have had as well. I've never had in my life Star Wars friends, IRL. And what I mean is I've definitely had friends that I play games with and stuff, but not like the bros like you guys, where we get to talk fundamentally, like have breakdowns. A lot of people are like casual. They're not like you. And I think that's why I do this. So I'm like, I need to connect with my people. And that's why hey, Star Force One. Good to see you. If I play Galaxy of Heroes, I only use movie and EU character. Dude, I get the KOTOR characters. I am hot for it. And we have somebody's PC has decided to boot up. It is the one and the only, the sweep. Why didn't I hear him? Is he just like going absolutely nuts and nobody's hearing him? That is hilarious. Do you hear him? Because I got nothing. Oh, that's so good. Yes. Flail around, my friend. Nothing. The shillery. The sheer shillery. The grifters winning out the gate. We haven't even rated anything. You know what? You haven't paid your Disney subscription for your mic to work. That's the problem, my friend. Oh, you can hear me. I see your face. You can hear me. You poor bastard. Oh, dude, the Star Wars, Imperium, the Star Wars Galaxy soundtrack is peak. I listen to it near daily. The one that has the guy, I think it's a stormtrooper just standing in sand, and it's like 25 minutes long on YouTube. I usually have the KOTOR soundtrack. I use that one, Galaxies. There's also this ambient dark side soundtrack that they're making. That's really good as well. $500 mic still not working. Yeah. This thing, I got it too. It's an SM7B. I got it because it was like Michael Jackson used it. And let me tell you something. I used to use a $99 Blue Yeti, and this fucking thing sounds like shit until you throw it through like a mixer and stuff. And I'm just like, I don't want to become an audio engineer to talk to the bros. I don't want to do it. But here we are. Look at Adrian. Sweepy. He's probably looking through troubleshooting guides right now. I see a bead of sweat on his forehead as he's realized I'm cooked. My PC's betrayed me. He's been messaging me. He's the one that's got the rating, so I can't do the rankings with him until we pull it up. He has been messaging me for the last hour about getting the show ready. And then 5 minutes before the show, I was like, okay, let's jump on so that we're on time and let's talk about the ratings. And he's like, my PC. And I'm like, I'm getting on. We're talking Star Wars. You have to praise the acolyte for Disney to allow the mic to unmute. Yet time to worship the acolyte. The power of many. I actually am looking at, he jumped out. I'm looking at the viewership to see if my viewers go down by 10. Anytime I've sung in any song, like any video, the viewership immediately drops. I love it. I'm restarting one more time, Jesus. Oh, sweepy, sweepy, sweepy. Jedi Council, good to see you. What is the ideal Star Wars game you wish was made for VR? I would love a Geonosis Arena Simulator, Republic Commando, Jedi Academy. I've only got the controls here. I've got Jedi Academy on VR. So I need to tell you this. This is the greatest thing since sliced bread. You will lose your shit. If you have whatever works, the Meta Quest 2 or above, you can play Jedi Academy via VR, and it is the greatest thing. I don't want to use the overused IGN term. You feel like a Jedi. You swing that saber, you swing the saber. It is the greatest single player experience VR of my life. It is so good. I cannot begin to explain it, dude. Yeah, I'm not a VR person. It makes me feel sick, but I happily go through said sickness. Let me fucking pull it up for you. Let's see if I can do that in a timely fashion. I am not so good on the spot, and I don't want the music to play because it auto copyright claims. Disney, since I talk crap about Disney, and I don't know if you guys remember Dash Star, that dun 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 dun, the Imperial March intro that I had for the channel, got the whole channel basically copyright claimed. Someone manually went through and claimed all my videos that were worth anything. I started declaiming them. I got a tool from YouTube. It finally came out like 8 years later. And because I've been declaiming them, Disney's been coming back manually and claiming stuff. So I'm trying to like stay away from getting in trouble. Let's look. Team Beef VR Jedi Academy. Dude, you're gonna, and of course Outcast is awesome as well. It is so good. I just need the trailer. You are gonna absolutely lose your mind on this. I don't think the trailer does it justice, but who gives a shit? Let's have a look. Where's my share screen function? Share screen. StreamYards is really good. The reason why that you're seeing you're seeing the stupid logo up top is the fact that unfortunately it's like a squillion bucks to subscribe, and I just can't commit to it. I'm just like, I'm not gonna do it, bro. Ready? Actually, screw it. Let's get this thing copyright claimed. Nah, let's see. This is so good. This is the greatest Star Wars single player experience ever. Wait. Okay, it's gonna get claimed if I do that. Is this just Jedi Academy? Get the fuck out of here. They wouldn't do it. Oh, so they used the Star Wars music out the gate. You sons of bitches. Don't you just do an opening crawl? You're making me look stupid. Did I not? It says for Quest 2 announcement trailer. Show me the actual Quest shit. You absolute fiends. So they're making trailers where they don't show you inside the headset. This is the dumbest thing. This has got to be it. Yeah, okay. Ready? Oh, and this absolutely feels I can't that's probably one of the best fights, the Reborn and Besman. This feels exactly like you feel like you're just absolutely crushing going through stormtroopers in a swath. I cannot begin to articulate how good this feels. You need it. It's not a question. I hate VR, but it's so worth it. It is so worth it. And the blocking, like, you know how it auto blocks? You can block, you can do all that stuff. All the force powers feel good. Obviously, grip is the best for tossing people. Look, yes, throw the saber. God damn. Oh, when you get to tier 3 force powers, it is on like Donkey Kong. All right, they're obsessed with force, like the saber throw. This is the first game that I ever played where I was like, man, I understand the force because it just seems so mystical watching Luke do random shit. Like, how does he deflect blaster bolts? How does he throw lightsaber, etc. And for this game to break it down to a like science of like these are the levels, this is the powers name, this is what it can do, and then doing it, the application. Maybe I'm a kinesthetic learner, but oh my god, lightning! Give him a no, yes, and then speed to finish him. I love this thing. All right, 100% recommend it. Team Beef, get the Pico 4 Quest 2 or 3 Pro. Get it; it'll change your life. Speaking of changing lives, how are we doing?
Can you guys hear me now?
No.
No, you responded.
Fuck.
Sorry,
Hey.
guys. How you doing? That was a trek. I had a lot of PC difficulties. I am so sorry, but I'm here. How are you?
Good, dude. Good. What about yourself?
Good. How is everyone? I saw the intro. I was listening to you on my phone while we're going. We were talking about the was it the Twitter sphere or the X sphere now, as they call it, the intolerance of some people.
It was, yeah, unfortunate.
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
Very.
Are you taking off your jacket to get rankings ready?
Yeah, you're gonna make me sweat, dude. You're gonna call me like a grifter, that I'm unbroken by Disney, that
I'm the
love
grifter.
them.
You're the shill. Why would I call you the
Shill.
grifter?
Sorry, yeah, there you go. That's it. I am the
He's trying to
the
swap
shill.
sides before we start. I'm not allowing it. I am not allowing it. I'm such an EU boomer. I'm like, there's no way I'm switching to. It'd be so funny. We should one time try and switch positions, but that sounds so bad phrasing. All right. Do you want to? I don't know how you're going to do it. If you bring it up, what I'll do is I'll give you the share screen ability and we can start the rankings together, brothers.
Okay, so who's going to go first? I'm going to go first because I put
Yeah,
the link
you go
in the
first.
private chat. All right.
Yeah.
So
this is going to be great. All right. So have you got the tier maker list up for yourself?
Yep. I got it up now.
And can you click share screen? You should be able to at the bottom.
Yep. Got it. Nice.
And so you're trying to share screen with me right now?
Yep. It says sharing screen was cancelled.
I haven't touched anything. Just, oh, God. Oh, there we go. At this stage. My man.
Awesome.
Praxium. This is the man who's trying to introduce galaxies.
Zoom it in? There we go. I'll zoom it in.
Okay.
There we are. All right. So, we got to reset it. Hang on. I don't know why it's always pre-filled. What the hell is this?
Oh, somebody fills it already.
No, I shouldn't have had this one. I should have had my other screen. Hang on. Let me share my other screen because that might be the incorrect one.
You got multiple rankings going. He's surrounded by rankings.
There we go. Okay, this is the one I'm sharing now. Excellent.
Zoom it in, baby.
All right. Zoom it in. All right. So we're doing the Star Wars TV shows for today. So we saw another YouTuber that we sort of mutually watch because we like his takes. This is Star Wars Sith, so I want to
Wait,
say it's not like we're
wait,
copying.
wait, wait, wait.
Well,
No, no, no,
no,
no.
no.
We don't like his takes. His takes were horrible. That's what inspired us. He was
No,
putting the craziest shows next to each other. What was it? It's like the Book of Boba Fett or something like A tier. And I was like, please stop. And he just wouldn't. And he's like, but I love that he's honest. That's all I care
that's
about.
what
I don't care what you
that's
love
what
or
I
hate.
mean.
He is
Yeah,
so
yeah.
unapologetically honest. It was like a train wreck. We should almost watch his ranking after this because I was just like, please, please, no more. And he just kept going.
No, that's what I mean. We love his honesty. We love it that he's just a fan and he likes what he likes. I mean, subjectively, yeah, I think Dash was he was convulsing during watching his video. I convulsed a little bit just on a few points, but you know what? That's the beauty of it, and we love people having their own opinions here. It's good, and we love trashing each other too. Because Dash
Yes.
loves trashing me.
Get in. No, that's not. Can you zoom in, please, sir?
More. Okay.
Oh yeah. Keep going. All right.
There. We good?
Ooh, no, it might have to be out a bit so they can see this. No.
Right.
Yep, that's perfect. Perfect.
All right. Sweet. All right. So yeah, where were we? Sorry. So we thought obviously this would be a good idea for you guys because I want to go. We're gonna compare my list with Dash's, the filthy little grifter, and then you guys can then tear us apart, I guess, or give us your takes or your ratings. So what I'll do, I'll also give you guys the link in the chat, and then you guys can just post it to us on Discord, on Twitter, and give us your ratings as well.
Yes.
Dashi, let me pull it up. I'll just drop the link in the chat as well now, so these guys can also rate along. I'm in shambles today, guys. Boom. All right. So where are we going to start? We'll start with. Should we leave the best for last,
Bro? There's no world the Acolyte is going above D. If we start on that foot, no. Here's where I want you to start because this is going to set the tone.
All right.
I want to see Ahsoka.
All right. So now Ahsoka, where does this show sit? Now, I was a huge Rebels fan. I love the storytelling in Rebels. I also like Ahsoka. I know. It's one of Dave Filoni's toys, but I like that toy of his. Now, I have my own problems here with Ahsoka. As like I said, I loved her in Rebels and I loved her in the Clone Wars. But the live action for me, there's a few canonical points that I dislike. Like, for example, I really dislike Sabine becoming a Jedi. I thought that was silly.
Oh.
Obviously, the lightsaber not, killing someone. I don't understand why they kept doubled down on that and kept that alive. There was redeeming qualities. Like I loved Balin. I loved Shinhati. There was a few points in there where it kind of turned me off a little bit. One of them was also Thrawn. It felt like he was smoking copium. Like everything that happened, he's just like, yeah, but I meant to do that. I was winning. And it became a little bit too unbelievable. I didn't care about his weight. I know a lot of people said he's a little pudgy for being stranded.
Hey, we don't mention his weight. He was eating his feelings on that planet.
Yeah, it's true. But another big takeaway was also when Sabine came to Ezra. Now, I saw a very, very happy Ezra, and I wouldn't really be happy if I was stranded on an island, like chilling with some snail dudes. I'd be pretty upset. And he was a bit too happy to see her, and he was also a little bit too complacent when she refused to say how they got here. Because if that happened to me and I'd be like, how'd you get it? She goes, I'll tell you after. I'm like, no, bitch, you're gonna tell me now. Like, I've been waiting here for I don't know how many years. So he was a little bit too nice, but I think with the story points and like a few decisions they made, I wouldn't necessarily give it a D, but I'll give it a C.
This is surprising. I thought you'd go B. Are you giving it a C versus B because they're making you wait 4 years? It's what, 2027 till we see the next.
No, I think they had such a great opportunity for the live action where obviously the end of Rebels where it really set up Ahsoka and Sabine going after Ezra or like looking for Ezra. But yeah, those decisions to make her force sensitive. The Night Sisters were good, but you know the what do you call them? The zombie troopers, the death. What were they called? Canonically, I can't remember.
Death Troopers,
Yeah,
but they
yeah, the
stole
Death
the Death
Troopers.
Trooper moniker again. That's fucking dumb, man. I'm
Yeah,
not going to be as nice as you. I tell you what.
yeah, like it seemed a little goofy them coming to life. And I didn't understand why everyone on that starter show was dead except Thrawn. I didn't get that. I thought maybe one or two would be alive. But like it seemed like all of his subordinates were dead, and I'm not sure. Like, so there's a few points of it that really make me dislike it. So I'm going to sit it at a C for Ahsoka.
Okay.
I mean, it's one of those redeeming qualities. I did like, you know, you could see the statues of the Mortis gods at the end, so I really like the Mortis gods as an arc. So I thought that's interesting. So I think it's salvageable, but
Ooh,
yeah,
look
just
at
a
that.
few
Look at
things.
you flirting with a bee.
Terror Troopers, Drop Bear says, not death. I'm sorry, my lord. Sorry, Darthy. Which
Terror
one should I do
Troopers.
next? Am I free to go next?
Free to choose. Free to
Free to go
choose.
next.
I'll react. We all will react. Please, in the comments.
Book of Boba Fett.
Ooh.
Book of Boba Fett. Now, at the end of I think it was Mando season 2, we saw Boba Fett just walk into the Jabba's old palace and just murk a really fat, overweight Bib Fortuna, just in cold blood. And obviously, I thought that was the setup we're going to get. We're going to get some pretty primal, some pretty really violent Boba. But it just took me out of it. With again, he was just some old Maori dude at the end, just asking people to have like back to tanks with him and shit. Um, it became Mando's story at the end. He talked too much. He was too. They tried to spin him to be a bit more nicer than he was, or give him reasoning for being an absolute bloodthirsty murderer. Like after the Sarlacc pit, it seemed like they tried to soften him up a bit. They made him a bit less vengeful. The Vespers, the show just sucked. Like it was really beta fed. So being disappointed with one of the most iconic characters, I'm going to give that a D.
Whoa. I thought
Yeah.
the chivalry would be stronger with you.
No,
My
I'm going to be
lord.
harsh in my criticisms. Like, you know, the ones that they really get wrong, like, and for example, people might think, like, even with Ahsoka, making Sabine a Jedi was small, but like, I get really tilted when they just break canonical things, especially around Sabine, because she was great of who she was in Rebels. They didn't need to make her even more special. They didn't need to make her a force sensitive. F tier. We could probably add an F tier, but we'll keep it there. Because that's my rating for Beta Fett. Ooh, Maul. 100% S tier.
Didn't even think. He was just
Nah.
didn't even flirt with A, straight to S.
Yeah, no, for so long, you know, I think they did a great balance, right? They, especially when it came to Devon and the Master, you know, there wasn't necessarily any of these sort of forcefully driven sort of like topics. Like they didn't really need to girl boss her. The balance between her, Master, Apprentice, and all the other characters was good. I think, like I was saying to you before, it actually made me like Devon as a character. I thought they did really well with every character development. Nothing seemed over the top. Nothing seemed like agenda driven. It was just storytelling, I guess, to its finest. And I actually really enjoyed every episode of it, especially the last two. And they did an amazing job again of making the Empire look competent and making Vader terrifying, like how it should be. So I actually love that show. Tales of the Jedi, S tier.
Whoa, straight
Me.
up.
Yeah, S tier, Tales of the Jedi. I've had a bit of time to think about this. Tales of the Jedi, especially Dooku's arc and things like that, I think they did a really good way of, you know, portraying it, and also almost what it looked like, even though he was with Sidious in cahoots with him before Qui-Gon died. They really sort of honed down the fact that Qui-Gon's death was probably that little extra push he needed to solidify his decision, the loss of his apprentice, his former apprentice. I did like Yaddle. I understand that some people canonically might dislike the way Yaddle died, because Yaddle, I think, died sacrificing herself in the comics, in the old canon. Sacrificing herself, I think, for Anakin. I think she grabbed a bomb or something, and she sacrificed herself and it blew up. Not too sure. I think that's how the story went. But I really love Tales. I even like the Ahsoka stories there. I think they're really good. Tales of the Empire, a straight D tier. I'm not sure if that even needs an explanation. I disliked it fundamentally. I don't understand why Barriss was a focal point. The show really didn't do much to me. It's actually kind of forgettable. Don't actually even want to remember much of it either. I didn't really like Tales. Mando. This one's a hard one. This one's a hard one for me. Season 1 and 2 were very, very good. Season 3 was not. I had a problem with Mando because coming off the back of the sequel trilogy, the story in between this and but the beginning of this the sequels, it was really hard for me to separate. Like, I know where it ends. So for me, that kind of like sucks. Like, I know where the story's gonna go. I know what they were trying to set up. Like, obviously with Palpatine and like him trying to clone himself, trying to get Grogu's blood and all that kind of stuff. So the story points of that I've always really disliked. So it was really hard for me to separate some of the redeeming qualities of season 2 because of where the story ends up. And then when I get to season 3, it kind of failed for me. So like, I think Mando, I want to give it a B. Season 3 gives it a C.
There's no way. You're losing your shill status by putting Mando as C. Oh my god.
If season 3 didn't happen, probably still would have given it a B because like I said, I really, really enjoyed season 1 and 2. I thought it was really good. But season 3 for me felt like almost like they're trying to make it a Bo-Katan story. It was weird. I don't know, that they sort of lost its edge a little bit. I think because obviously the success of, Baby Yoda, I think what it was set up to be, which is something a bit more serious, then got geared to be something a little less serious, and it lost its appeal for me. It became a bit too childlike, where I think even in a serious movie, you can still have, I guess, a kid or a cute element to it, but at its core, it should have been what it was, like a space western. And a little bit more serious, especially because the severity or severity, the seriousness of maybe season 1 tried to put on it.
Ooh, I see floating over Andor or Clone Wars. This is when the men are separated from the boys. I want to see where you go there.
I kind of want to give a hot take, and I know Drop Air might actually combust if I do this one, so I'm going to wait and think about on that one. I'm going to get this one out of the way. Star Wars Visions. Star Wars
That's a
Visions
really hard one for me.
Well, it's built for kids, but I like it because it has a lot of creativity there. They have like a sandpit to tell these sort of different stories, and I'm a sucker for anime, and I really like the animation. Obviously, not all the stories for me. I understand the demographic they're going for, but there's a part of me there where in Star Wars, obviously, like there should be like Star Wars, I guess, for everyone, and having it for, I guess, anime enthusiasts, and given the heavy Japanese influence that it has on Star Wars for George Lucas and things like that. I thought it was really, really good that they gave it. Look at him smile. They gave it that platform, and obviously, it is. I understand the demographic, but I think the stories can be fun, and I think a lot of young people did enjoy it. So for that, I do give it an A tier.
Did you see the latest comment?
What was the latest comment?
Says Sweep's not shilling hard enough. Where's the role playing as a shill? I thought it's Grifter versus the shill, not Grifter versus Grifter. I joke, of course.
Oh, you'll see.
I do like that you intellectualize things, like you explain yourself. I don't think shills explain themselves well enough. That's your biggest problem, is that you're not just glazing. Where's the glaze?
It'll get there, but I've switched now to Kenobi. Where do we put this one? Now, I felt so betrayed because when I saw Ewan and I saw they're going to make this, I was really excited. And what I thought they were going to tell was a story from, obviously leading off from Revenge of the Sith, where Yoda tells Obi-Wan that he can commune with Qui-Gon. And I thought we were going to see the struggles of perhaps a broken Jedi, then sort of like seeing his struggles and maybe having those conversations with Qui-Gon and Yoda through the Force to keep him, keep his spirits up, show him what a true Jedi he was. Because in the Clone Wars and throughout the series, Obi-Wan was the model Jedi. He was the Jedi to the T. You know what I mean? He trusted in the Yoda. He trusted in their beliefs. Just his, I guess, his resolve as a Jedi Knight was what kept him alive as well. Not to mention his impenetrable force, his fighting form, but he was what a model Jedi should be, and he stuck to his morals always. And I thought we were going to see perhaps him being, I guess, maybe broken, but then sort of going through those struggles while he watches over Luke. Now, I guess I understand as a story point, how could you make a story of a dude on a desert planet that interesting? Obviously, you couldn't necessarily have every episode like that, but I wish it would have started off like this. You're waiting for all of these to be S tier and just hear the most outlandish explanation. I'm not that much of a shill. I just like George Lucas though. But I think what we got with Reva, him leaving the planet and meeting Leia and abandoning his responsibility for Luke, as that's what was Yoda's words were, watch over the boy. I thought that was horrible that he left. I didn't like the childishness of Leia. I thought him confronting Vader again was incorrect. I think they needed to try a bit more of a creative way of him to understand who Vader was. I remember in the comics, I'm pretty sure he was drinking in a cantina in Tatooine, and I think a broadcast came up that it was Vader, and then he realized who he was. So there needed to be a bit more of a compelling way for him to find that out. But no, even the Inquisitor's voice, the aesthetics of the Inquisitor, I am going to give this a D tier. It was an
What?
absolute.
You were floating on that B tier, making me so mad the whole time.
Reva made me eye roll every scene. Yeah, she overacted. Like, obviously, like, I don't want to attack the actress. I think she's just doing a job, but she was too sassy towards the Grand Inquisitor. Where in other parts of Star Wars, you see them talking to the Grand Inquisitors, and they're very, very much subservient. Like, that's what Master. Like, they allowed her to have too much sass, and I didn't like that. It became less believable. Also, the Grand Inquisitor getting murked again by a lightsaber. Reva got stabbed fucking twice by a lightsaber and survived.
It's all part of Disney's greatest sins, right? And the fucking... Sometimes I think people are right where Disney has this weird agenda to almost like shame ritual your favorite characters. Obi-Wan, he's like loved, so they're like, let's drag this bitch through the desert for 20 years being useless, pocketing fucking meat like a poor waitress out of $1 Million Baby. What the fuck?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna wait till my turn. You keep going. Before we do, let's do our greatest impressions. Ready? This is my favorite thing about you, Sweepy, as you know. This is my impression of the Grand Inquisitor, who I loved in Rebels when I first saw him, his voice. Remember they did the introductions. This is my impression of the actual Grand Inquisitor from Rebels. And then we'll do yours, Sweep, because yours is so much better. So his intro voice line, he said, "Your devotion to your master is admirable, but it will not save you. Nothing can." And I was like, this guy's deadly. He's got that gravitas. But their choices for the testicle with teeth that's known as the Grand Inquisitor in Obi-Wan, live action, do the voice. This is the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah, put you on the spot with it. No, it was too overacted.
Do it.
You know what I mean? It was just like, the Jedi code is like an itch. They cannot help themselves. And that 15-minute monologue. And like, I think at that point, we all sympathize with Reva, where we're just like, oh, shut the fuck up. And he just throws a knife at him. And he stops it.
I love that itch part. Oh, so funny. Him dangling, just walking around the cantina monologue. Oh, so funny. Yeah. I was like, this is a comedy. This is not even a show. This, like, you watch the supercuts. It's so funny. And that dude, Rupert, whatever his name is, everybody's like, he's a great actor. I'm like, this is fucking ridiculous.
He might be a great actor, but he definitely overacted there. It has got a bit comedic. It's like, I will not tolerate your failure any longer, second sister. Like, it's just
and then he just tolerated it. She was sassy as fuck. Do you know the one?
Feels
Oh no,
fucked.
I'm gonna keep my because I'm like bottling my rage right now, ready to unleash it. The force unleashed when it's my time. Keep going, please.
And also, just before we go off, one of the biggest sins as well is just that, you know, at the end of Revenge of the Sith, it said, "I will teach you how to commune with Qui-Gon." This bloke buried his saber. Obi-Wan wouldn't do that. And, you know, you saw him trying to catch Leia when she was falling in that scene, and he was struggling to use the Force. At that point, I almost lifted my fucking chair and I just went, "Fuck off. That's stupid." You know what I mean? No. Even the guy that was meant to direct it, his story, I know, like, for example, Theory loved it. I still thought it was shit. Like the angle that they were going for the original script. I didn't like it.
I never read it.
Like even those points to me were just like, nah. There's no way in hell that someone like Obi-Wan disconnects themselves from the Force when the whole premise of him going to Tatooine was to watch, protect Luke, and commune with his old master and learn how to, like, you know, preserve his lessons. I was just like, you can see you can see like maybe an angry one, but to him to completely disconnect himself and lose faith like that, no, that's just not Obi-Wan. Um, we are going in now. Where are we going to go? We're going to go chill up a bit. Rebels,
Oh yeah. No. Here
S
we go.
tier, S
Here
tier.
we go.
I love Rebels. I think obviously I understand there's a childlike nature of it, obviously from being on
You were
Disney
just a
XD.
kid. You were just a kid watching it, so that makes sense, right?
No, I was 30, bro. What do you mean?
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. That is
No,
all.
no, I loved it. I love this from a storytelling perspective. I actually thought it was one of the best stories. Obviously, I'm a sucker for the Rebellion era because that's my favorite era in Star Wars is the Rebellion
Oh
era.
well, you're lucky Disney's
Um,
taken over.
but even though it had childlike elements, obviously within the animation, you know, in terms of like killing people, they didn't really show sabers or dismemberment and things like that. But from
And
a
the
storytelling,
writing and the storytelling and the episodes and that weird Afro Lasat woman that fucking took over. Sorry, keep going.
I mean, like getting over, like I look past the childish beyond, but I actually thought the storytelling was amazing. And controversial opinion, I actually liked the way they did the world between worlds. A lot of people thought it was time travel, where I didn't actually see that. When he stepped into the world between worlds, obviously I thought it was artistically amazingly done how they entered it, but it was that sort of plane or where they were that realm where it didn't show moments in time because what it showed for me was it was echoes through the force. So even where possibilities can happen, Yoda always said, always in motion, the future is. So what he was hearing was obviously what we heard because these events have already happened for us canonically, but were echoes in the force of what could happen. Um, and obviously showing, you know, if he removed Kanan from that time, he would have died and obviously the crew would have died, so it would have made his sacrifice meaningless. And as far as Ahsoka coming out, for me, she was always meant to come out of there at that point. So I love Rebels. I love the storytelling. 100% an S tier for me.
Well, so what you're saying is that it's not time travel, but could there be like a multiverse
No,
version of that World Between Worlds where the sequels don't exist? Sorry, keep going.
it was funny when we first saw it. I was just like, "Oh yeah, Dave's trying to set up something so we can just erase that shit." You know. But then again, the thought of a multiverse in Star Wars for me makes me cringe. I also aren't one that likes time travel. I think time travel is a very lazy, hacky thing. I think it can work in some parts of media. Obviously, things like Doctor Who, but even in Doctor Who, they have limitations. Where if anyone's a Doctor Who fan here, not the new Doctor Who, that's trash, but the old stuff with David Tennant and Matt Smith, you know, there are periods of time that are locked in time that can't be changed. So they always try to put guidelines on his time travel there. Um, so yeah, it was for me, it was echoes through the force. Not that things can be changed, but the future isn't certain. Like it's always independent choices that shape the future. Um, Andor, this is a fun one. So with Andor, I will concede that it was a great developed show, like really, really good quality acting. Although I couldn't get over season one and parts of season two, where I literally would get my phone and start playing Galaxy of Heroes instead and just listen to the dialogue. So they did really well with character development. I think they overdone it. I think because it was such a snore fest in some of the episodes, I don't know, but a lot of people are going to come out with pitchforks at Andor here, but I think it lacked in moving the story and the plot along. Like where we just had episodes of them just like walking in a forest and just chatting to each other. I was just like, hurry up! I couldn't give one less of a fuck right now. I don't care about Cyril eating fucking cereal and talking to his ugly mum. I couldn't give a shit. Like I
Hey,
don't need, no, like I
she
don't
was a
need fucking.
queen.
I don't need character development on him eating fucking cereal with his mum about getting a job. It's like, I get it. You're upset. You lost your job. Now you work for the Empire. You're a public servant now. Like, I get the feeling, dude.
Oh, because
Like,
you worked for the government at, well, not but you know that pain. You don't want to see it. It brings up too much trauma.
it's not a trauma response. It's just like for a story that's meant to tell like the early stages and formations of the rebellion where they had, you know, obviously Andor's storyline, they had more Mothma's, Luthen Rails, and then obviously, you know, Forrest Whitaker's Saw Gerrera. They could have and the Empire, they really could have shown three elements of the Empire trying to form, trying to work together, understand their conflicts. They could have even showed, even in different parts and segments of the episodes, like how Saw Gerrera didn't necessarily meet the ideals of what the rebels were, as he became a bit too lethal, right? He was more like two wrongs make a right. If they're going to kill them, I'm going to kill their prisoners. I'm just going to be ruthless because I hate them. Like really show that difference of the rebellion forming and their conflicts and how they separate. I thought going into all of them a bit more in depth instead of having episodes where it just dragged on. Like, so I just wanted to fall asleep sometimes. But
Bro, Saw Gerrera telling that dude, we used to mine. What was the shit that he?
I don't know, but then it became a
naked. Huff this.
Breathe it in,
like
breathe it in, boy. That's
I was
freedom.
like, there's no world I would be huffing whatever the fuck he was. I love it. Saw Gerrera's peak for me. I was like, there's no way. And the guy's like tweaking, and I was like, why would you do that? That speech was anti-drugs for me, not getting on this rhino fucking fuel. Oh.
No, I loved how insane they portrayed him and like how intense he was. Like I liked it, but yeah,
Saw.
he's just like, you have to fuck your lungs up now to really understand freedom of the rebellion. I was just like, this guy's just an ice addict, and he's like, join me. But like, I mean, it was still good. Like I love the acting in it. So I know a lot of people want to put it up here, but
yeah, fuck the people. Do what you want to do.
Yeah, no, I am like 3 episodes out of 2 seasons, and I admit this might also be a hot take. The last 3 episodes of Andor of season 2 was some of the best television I ever watched, and that's the hard part for me. So, but like in saying that, where I'm like, you missed a good point on actually like moving the plot along, showing us more about the formation of the Empire, because in season 2 it was rushed. You had those time jumps,
Put
bad
it in F
pacing
tier
issues.
already.
Nah, it's
F
a B.
tier.
It's a B. Because
Okay.
the last 3 episodes were like some of the best television I have ever seen, but I can't justify giving it anything above that because 3 episodes out of 2 seasons isn't good enough for me. Should I piss everyone off?
Wait, you're not going to rate Clone Wars super low?
Not super low.
I thought you were the shill.
Here's the thing.
I'm learning
Here's
things.
Here's the thing. I love the Clone Wars. It's still next to Rebels, I think, very, very good. It didn't necessarily have a linear timeline. It went back and forth. I thought it was amazing up until season 6, and I loved it because I loved I even love some of those random episodes. It gives you so much lore. But when Disney took it and gave us season 7, when they had a really important job, I think they only gave us 7 episodes, and then they gave us 4 episodes of Ahsoka running around with Mexican drug queens, where the story just went full circle and they got to exactly where they started. And then they gave us the Mandalorian arc with the Siege of Mandalore at the end. Season 7 gives it an A tier, not an S tier for me.
Oh, the betrayal. You're losing that shill title. The Clone Wars is untouchable.
Is it shill? Is it shill to shit on Disney though?
Is it shill to shit on Disney? No.
You know what I mean?
Love Disney.
Yeah. So like I give it an A tier. Like I wanted to give it an S tier, but the season 7 of it with under Disney's control. I was like, these episodes, just why is that happening? Bad Batch. I enjoyed Bad Batch. Again, like they tried to go a bit more into the story of like, the Force blood. A lot of people disliked Omega. I didn't. I actually really liked Omega. I thought she was a cute character. I liked I
There
liked
it is.
seeing, I liked Kanan, except for his voice. They should have put a younger voice. I liked seeing that with Deeper.
Deeper. That was deeper. Billable. I thought you meant his deeper voice. I was like, this is ridiculous. This is a grown man at 10 years old. I'm gonna jump this cliff now. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. No, honestly, I actually didn't mind. I think there was some good story points there. There was obviously there's going to be some forgettable episodes, but being centered around, the Bad Batch and the clones, it's a soft spot for me. And I actually like the ending. I actually thought it was a really nice ending. So I'm going to give that one a B tier.
B for
Tales of
Bad
the
Batch.
Tales of the Underworld. I actually really liked it. I know a lot of people didn't like Asajj Ventress and I guess her take with the Jedi and the Cad Bane arc in this one. I actually thought was really good. It was a bit darker, a little bit more serious. Not necessarily an S tier, but I give Tales of the Underworld an A tier.
Do it.
I want to hear what everyone thinks are going to do with this one. I want to see it.
I'm not giving my opinion because I've listened to you talk about the Acolyte. I want to see the chat say what they think. Where would Sweepy land? Because he's a mixed barrel. When you think you get him pegged, he's suddenly putting Bad Batch at B tier because of Omega. Omega, which is the end in Greek, isn't it? Anyway, it's the end of all good things. Below F tier, under the floorboards, baby. High Imperium.
All right.
What would a shill do?
This is shit. No. This is single-handedly the worst piece of media I have ever seen in my life.
Woo!
This is the biggest piece of shit. It wouldn't even be a polished turd. And I honestly do not understand. And I understand subjectively you can like things, but when a Star Wars fan tries to defend this to me, in my opinion, I hate this so much. I'm like it quietly. I don't want to hear why you like it. Like this is one of the only hardline things I am, where it's just like you can like it, that's your right. I love it. I love that you enjoy it, but I don't want to hear about it because for me, this is just as destructive as The Rise of Skywalker for me, in terms of a shambolic, laughable, not creative written show. I think there is one redeemable quality where you can say some of the choreography of the fighting is decent, but from there, the contrived writing, the stupid story points, the plot holes, the idiotic acting, the fucking dumb mixtape that Amanda Stenberg released, the politics behind it, those weird cultist space witches, the thread, like it deserves its own category of.
If you put this anything lower than an A, you may as well just say I hate gay people and people of color. That's Twitter said that. So you better put that up there to keep your shill status. Come on, bump it up. Bump it up. Woo!
Like I was actually gonna make like a fucking Z tier for this shit. Like this is one thing that needs to be struck from canon, and I'm really happy that when I was at Celebration Japan, that Disney paid this absolutely zero fucking attention. They only had one interview on the Celebration stage with the dude that plays a stranger. What's his name? Manny Jacinto. And he basically got up and cried that, he needs support for season 2. And I think people were just like cheering and clapping out of sympathy and like, because this guy was basically having a meltdown on stage. No disrespect to the actor or the actresses in that show, but this is horrible and it shouldn't exist. Like, I'm quite happy that Disney went, yep, we fucked up. Let's not talk about this.
And Skeleton Crew. Say that.
Well, I think actions speak louder than words. You know what I mean? They're not paying it attention. They're not promoting it. I mean, it's on autoplay on Disney, and so they're like, "Oh my god, it's the most played after more." I'm like, "Yeah, but
Yeah,
it's on
that was a
autoplay."
kick in the teeth. That clearly
Yeah.
was them promoting it because then it gets back trending so that they get to be like, F you. The fans then get to throw swings at sound minded people.
Yeah. I give Skeleton Crew. I thought I enjoyed it. It was a kids show. I think it was been really, really good fun, obviously for young people to watch. It was a nice show. I didn't mind it for what it was. I didn't look at it with an expectation of it needs to meet my expectations because
What?
I'm not what no, well, I'm not watching it for my expectations, right? Like
But you
I
watch
knew
Rebels is S tier and that's for kids. How can you do this?
because this had Rebels had a lot more profound, deeper storytelling than this. Like the storytelling for me wasn't very kid-like in Rebels. I actually thought it was really good. I thought it was really engaging. I actually loved it. I loved what Dave Filoni did with Rebels. I love everything about Rebels. I really do. I love how he pushed a few barriers. He made it a little bit weirder. He made it a bit more interesting, and I loved it. He brought new elements into Star Wars, which for me landed perfectly in Rebels. For this one here, like I said, I couldn't really fault it because I didn't really watch it for my expectations. Like you have to look at it, goes, would a really, really young person enjoy Skeleton Crew? And I think 100% they would. I thought it was really good. It was basically the Star Wars, like the Goonies, the Star Wars. Um, so I guess knowing that probably a lot of young people had a really good time with this show, and it wasn't really faulted for me, I'd give it an A tier for Skeleton Crew, just because I think it would have done its job for what it was created for, which was for kids, like plainly. Um, and there we go. That's my rating. Do we have a poll? Shill, not shill, or just whack? Whose is worse? Mine, because I know you hate it. You hate this tier list. You hated mine. You hated Star Wars Sits. Which one do you think is worse, in your opinion?
I know you and I've sat through these rants from you before and I know your thinking, so it's easier
Hmm.
to digest. And I see your rationale. So yours is less worse for sure. Still baffled how you can rationalize that Skeleton Crew is a kid's show, so you see it through a different lens, but then you see Rebels as an adult, whereas I would rate things as me and not give them. I don't know. Anyway, you make more sense. Star Wars Sith is not a shill or a grifter. It's like he's fucking throwing darts at a board blindfolded when he starts doing it. You're just like, how
He
is this happening?
he likes what he likes, and that's why I really love him. Like he likes what he likes, and he's honest. So, he's not going to sway one way. He's going to sway his way, and that's it. And I think that's the best way we can do it. We can look at it from what we subjectively like, which is obviously this, and then if we've done something on just a pure objective level,
Yeah.
this will probably look very different as well. But as to your point, I was like, how can you say it was good for kids, but you put it there in this one? Because Rebels was for kids, but it wasn't just for that. I think such a small demographic of young people. Like I'm looking at Skeleton Crew of kids, like maybe from like 5 to 10. Where I look, Rebels is probably aimed at for people, I guess 10 to maybe people in their early 20s. If I were to really look at it, um, early 20s is a bit of a stretch. Maybe like just young teenagers or just like late teens, but I guess the storytelling is what kept the older people engaged, especially people like myself. Um, but yeah, what we'll do, let's clip this one. I'll put this in our Discord so we can save it. Blech. Boom. All right. That was my tier list. Now it's time for the grifter. Grift it up, baby. Let's see. Let's see everything at D tier.
I'm going to show you the true power of hatred and the dark side. I'll let you choose where I start. Take a wild guess. Just anything. Just think what would Dash like? And you know what I'm going to do to you? I'm going to take your favorite Rebels that you so love and we're going to discuss. Now, Rebels was what started this channel. I was an EU fanboy and Disney just purchased Star Wars, and I believed that they were going to take the greatest stories from the EU and then distill it down into their new canon. And what we got was a heaping pile of shit. I've
How
never
dare
been so disappointed in my
How
life. You
dare
can't
you.
wipe the taste out of my mouth. Star Wars Rebels had moments. That is it. It was like Zack Snyder. I'm taking a swing at both franchises. It had moments where you felt that little Kevin kind of jingle. Oh, the Force. I feel Kanan feels something behind him. It's Ezra. Beautiful moment. Then they brought in Thrawn. People say to me all the time, Dash, your Thrawn reaction made me a fan of you. I was excited because I thought EU Thrawn was coming. Instead, what we got was some limp dick, art-loving piece of shit for kids that I don't care about. And Dave Filoni is so whack. He's been doing kids shows for 20 fucking years. Everybody's glazing him, myself included. And then I realized that it was Brad Rao that's been directing Maul. And it's not even Filoni. Filoni loves to take beloved canon characters or creating his own and then warping them into fucking oblivion. And I'm going to keep saying this through the list because there is a lot more about that. And this is why Precious Rebels, where I would say Kanan's fatherly relationship with Ezra is the bright spot. And I liked Ezra seasons 1 to whatever 2. And then it fell off as the wheels fall off all Filoni shows. Eventually, he kills all his characters. And I'm going to give it a decent C. There was no bite to it in the end. It was just a limp kids show, which Filoni is pro at. Now, is there any questions? What do you want to move on to next?
How dare you.
Good, let's step the time. Second up, the Clone Wars.
Oh my God. Wait.
There are no prisoners here.
I want you to do Kenobi. I want to hear it.
You're going to have to wait for that.
I want to hear the rage.
The Clone Wars is for kids born 1995 and above that haven't seen the micro TV series, which is far superior. That Jendovsky Russian-sounding cat that made Samurai Jack made such a good show for kids and adults. It transcended. Shows that are beloved universally, that are still got a PG rating, is because his writing was great all the time. Filoni flip-flops and chops. I will give him credit where it's due, because I'm starting low with them all. Him turning Ahsoka from a little shitty brat to a fun Padawan was great. Do I love the fan community making weird art about her that's sexualized when she's a kid? No, we're going back to D. That was weird. And everybody, because they were kids when they saw it, overrate this show like you wouldn't believe. But to me, he chops and changes. For every freaking cool ass fight or Kenobi moment, there is Amoeba Gascon leading droids and George, God bless him, just making shit like side quests. I would give the Clone Wars, you know what? I would give it a B, but then bringing Maul back just because, and they wanted to kill him the whole time I found out. George Lucas and Filoni wanted to kill him. So it's like useless. They just shit on the EU. I'm going to give it a strong C at best. And that's because it's had so much time and resources.
Get him.
So much time and resources. Come on. So much time and resources wasted on another Filoni flop. Now, speaking of Filoni flops, let's go Mando. The Mandalorian.
You put that anywhere above Clone Wars, I'll cry.
I was so excited for season 1 when he stepped into that saloon and that dude got crunched by the door in the trailer. I thought, we're finally going to get from Disney an adult TV show, because I believe in my heart the most beloved media in Star Wars is for adults. And I'll give quick examples. Empire Strikes Back for the OT. Episode 3 for the prequels. The most adult ones, they always go darker. What about TV shows? Andor, people love. Darth Maul, because adults, the more adults. So this show's cardinal sin was it teased us that it was going to be an adult show. And then it slid, as Filoni does, down the hill where he gives up trying to please adults and starts doing kiddie beloved shit. Mandalorian was probably a B tier season 1, but he had no bite. He was a no, I wanted to see him collect bounty hunters, snapping necks, and cashing checks. And we got some limp pass thing where it was meant to be a road trip with him and Grogu. That was a compelling storyline. But then, instead of splitting to two shows, Grogu being on Luke's academy, learning and seeing Luke's Praxium, which would have been S tier, and Mando doing Mando shit with Mandalorians, like we saw in like KOTOR, S tier. We got a watered down. Grogu is now a Mandalorian with dumbass armor. That every trailer that they have for the movie is about Mando stealing chips and guacamole. And oh, look, disempowered. It's Ripley. You like her from Aliens. Well, now she's going to be shit and talk the whole time, and she's 60. No fucking thank you. You're going to sea, baby. You're going to sea. And that is, you're lucky to be in sea after season 3. All right, where are we going? I'm getting my composure now. I think I'm hitting my stride. Oh, what would you like to see, Sweep?
Kenobi.
Oh, bro, you should give me a less rage baity one. Obi-Wan Kenobi. Ewan McGregor taking the role from Alec Guinness was one of the greatest casting choices of all time. I believe he almost carried the prequels. Everybody argues over Alden Ehrenreich, or whatever his name is, about Solo. The fact that Ewan McGregor is such a stellar actor, he could take over a night, a literal night in his role, is amazing. And I cannot overstate how much I respect him and his role as an actor. Then you have John Jackson Miller's novel, Kenobi, the same name, that was so good. It was him on Tatooine, dealing with Tusken Raiders, meditating with Qui-Gon, satisfying. And that makes it even worse when you get a show like Kenobi, where he's meandering around like some poor, horrible cat lady who's pocketing food and living in the desert like an urchin doing nothing. Leia is butchered. His story in A New Hope is butchered. They threw it under the bus. The apprentice is now the master. It doesn't make any sense. They're killing these lines for what? Cheap nostalgia bait. It's like Disney doesn't want to commit to respecting the characters, but they need them enough to prop up their shows. That chase scene alone on Alderaan is D tier. There is no world in which this is above D tier. The Inquisitors, and I love the Inquisitorius. I actually don't mind Disney's Inquisitors. I love them as a concept. That whole, can you please say the line from the Grand Inquisitor?
The Jedi Code is like an itch.
Oh,
they will never win Dash over to this show.
The Grand Inquisitor in Rebels, to his credit, was good. Jason Isaacs knocked it out of the park. The fact that they fucked up Inquisitors, and if I can put an F tier for this, do you know how I knew that this was going to be an agenda-driven piece of garbage? And I don't want to go into politics, but this is how I straight up knew something was wrong in my gut. And I know that you felt this too. When Reva's flashback to the Jedi Academy happened as a child, and there was a group of children during Order 66, Nightfall, the Purge, and none of them were aliens. They were just humans, multicolored humans. I went, oh no. Oh no, don't do this. Because as we know, and I'm not getting into politics, but the Oscars have openly said there are checkboxes now in Hollywood. I've been told openly by people in the industry that checkboxes, by putting checkboxes above good content and writing, you just kill it. You can have it. I don't care, but don't replace the soul of something by thinking, well, if we've ticked the boxes, we don't have to try. And that is Kenobi's biggest fucking sin outside of disgracing the legacy of Ewan McGregor. I can't even. Now, Ahsoka, as you wanted, my friend, has Inquisitors, the weakest version of Marok. So F tier of that. The fact that Ahsoka is one of Filoni's toys and she one-shots Inquisitors, but Maul, the Shadow Lord, has trouble. Disgraceful. The fact that Ahsoka fought like a sloppy, slovenly dude with asthma. Give me a break. There was no choreography. Where's Nick Gillard? Where is the passion for the saber duel? Hayden Christensen showing up was the worst thing that could happen to the show because he made Rosario Dawson look like a schlub. It was
That's so he
ridiculous.
should. That's so he
No,
should.
in movement. This is Apprentice. She beats Vader and Rebels. How dare they make her look so stupid using her dual lightsabers? I'm talking about they didn't even care. Remember the Death Trooper fight on the stairs? I was looking at my watch like, can this thing be over? You should never be pulled out of a lightsaber fight. That is the craziest thing to me. Rosario Dawson is a serviceable actress, but this stoic version of Ahsoka, I think she was most interesting in Clone Wars. I actually didn't mind the first Clone Wars movie where she had some bite. She has no personality and no place, and Filoni with his toy basket will not put them down. The thing that I liked about this, Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati, that whole philosophy, I'm a big philosophy guy. That's why we're friends. When he started waxing philosophical about the Force and Mortis, and you were like, where is he going? When he was like, I don't hate the Jedi, like, I just think they need to die and rebuild and to destroy to create. These things got me thinking. Rest in peace, Ray Stevenson. Was it Ray Stevenson? Phenomenal actor. That's what happens when you pay a phenomenal actor, which Disney seems hesitant to do, and give them some fucking good lines to read. Even though he wasn't a true Sith, I wanted to know more about him. Shin Hati, he's a wild-eyed apprentice. Phenomenal. D tier. That's it. They couldn't save this schlop, this slug. Like, and Thrawn, I don't even have to mention paunchy Thrawn pontificating from his dumbass ship. That dude is so badass in Heir to the Empire. He actually gives you pause where you're like, this dude's just going to beat everyone while Paleon fucking shits himself wearing his Salamari. Oh my God. Where are we going
drink
next?
water after that. He's like, ugh. It's washing the taste out of his mouth.
Braces. It's hard to actually talk for this long. All right. What do we got next? I know something to throw people off.
Visions.
Oh, don't you fucking dare. Visions is, I love Japanese animation. Anime from the 90s is specifically that style. Things late 90s like Ninja Scroll is up there. I like stuff like Berserk, that wasn't great, but like I like the darker tone. I love more adult themed anime, and I respect the animation. So I really respect some of Visions doing it right. What I didn't respect was the fact that Disney got its claws into the fucking stories, and it was every hero was some 9-year-old girl. The Ronin episode is the only redeemable thing in that track. Like, I was sitting through it just going, how, if they gave the Japanese dudes who are based carte blanche to tell stories, Ghibli, all of them, even kids' stories, I think this would have been S tier. God honest, even A tier. But Ronin was the only thing where I was like, this is good. This is where I'm looking to go, but it just held back still. And it's one story out of what, 8, 10? I'm giving it C tier, and that's just for Ronin. I can't in good conscience with all the shit stories. Like, newsflash, idiots. I'm not a little girl. The bulk of people who watch Star Wars are bros because it's war. Stop catering to this demographic that is the smallest chunk. It's dumb. Next one on the list, Skeleton Crew. Oh, this is going to mess you up. Skeleton Crew had all of the DNA of a good Star Wars story. It took the Goonies in space. Ostensibly, this is actually pretty good. It was a fun little romp, and it serviceably told a story with great actors. I loved, what was it, Jod? That's how you know a show's in trouble, when you can't even remember their names. And the pirate droid. And I don't like comedic droids all the time. I think that was cool. Did I need to see the suburbs in Star Wars? A playground? That was weird. I did like the planet and the fact that it had a big vault and stuff, but ultimately I felt this thing was a bit soulless. It was just a turn your brain off romp for kids. But if I had to give my kids a show to watch, Skeleton Crew or the Goonies, I'm giving them the Goonies. turn skeleton crew in the background. Nobody remembers it. Nobody's going to care. Nobody needs the season 2. The kids were great actors. Credit where it's due. Great cast. The writing, it was just a soulless piece of media. I need soul.
Damn, there's a lot of C
Next
tiers
up,
here.
dude, Grifter. I'm giving my honest take as an adult who wants adult media for the bros, not whatever they keep doing.
All right, let's hear
All right.
Andor then. Let's go for the adult. Let's hear Andor.
Ooh, you're not going to like, oh, maybe you will. This is going to, I don't care if it's people off. I'm going to be honest. Andor, Rogue One is definitely my favorite Star Wars Disney piece of media because it felt like a chaotic D&D campaign. I remember every character's name: Bodhi Rook, Baze Malbus, Chirrut Wee, and Jyn Erso and Cassian Andor themselves were I was a bit annoyed. They took Kyle Katarn and Jan Orr's story from Dark Forces 1 and then butchered it. But, we'd all said, take the best EU and put it into canon, and look what the fuck happened. It was pretty good. However, Andor comes out, and it is long. They dragged their feet through 2 seasons. Even though it's good, it felt like molasses in some points where I'm like, can you please hurry up? And to that point, some of the action wasn't that great. Remember when he got Mon Mothma out of the Imperial Center and it was just lackluster? It was him just shuffling her through crowds, not Kenobi level, but it was pretty low tier. I was just like, this has no stakes. He just shot the driver in the end. Like, it wasn't, I thought there was going to be a crazy shootout. He'd get clipped and there would be stakes. However, I really liked the ISB. I really liked the Krennic, and I really love Ben Mendelsohn as an actor and as an Australian. And Dedra, her and Cyril, their relationship and the fighting. However, what I didn't like was Gorman stuff where they were all French, weird baguette eating, bray eating, sipping. Like, that was too close. I'm like, he's like,
Bloody
can I order a
monkeys.
macchiato? I'm like, fucking Tarkin, you need another genocide. Come on, bro. Drop a ship on that.
Oh, God.
Get him out of here.
Oh, fuck.
True story. Get rid of him. And if people say you shouldn't talk about politics or stuff, and I agree. I don't like political stuff, but you would have to be blind and deaf to not realize, like, it was weird that Disney pushes diversity in the new world across Star Wars. Okay, I get it. It's a universe. Of course, everybody is going to be every shade and color. That makes sense. But the fact that 99% of the Imperial ISBs were white old men, I'm like, bro, I see what you're doing. It's still entrenched in that there's this propaganda level that I don't appreciate. However, George does it on some level, and I get it that there are reflections to the real world. I just don't like when the politics are so on the nose. It pulls me out. I don't mind the politics. It pulled me out. But Andor, its strong points were obviously Krennic, the ISB, and it was adult. And it was the first time I felt like the EU got into Disney canon in some degree. And even though it drags its feet, I'm going to give it, this is actually hard for me. I'll give it a B+. So that doesn't make A+, because A is what, 99 out of 10. S tier is 9.5 out of 10 up. So yeah, I'll give it about like, it's like 8.9 out of 10. It's strongest of Disney, and I like to see that direction. But I'd rather see Kyle Katarn's story, honestly. Would have been so much better, and it's already all there. Next up, we have The Bad Batch.
Ooh.
Now, The Bad Batch it's funny because I think the name says it all. It's bad. I don't care about it. Omega's dumb. I don't need to see the Clone Wars 2.0 where Filoni can't put his toys away. I wasn't moved by it. Yes, Bradley Baker can make a lot of cool noises out of his face. Great job. The end. Now, Tales of the Underworld is also a point of contention for me. I liked I feel like Filoni was getting stronger a little bit. Cad Bane's story was somewhat interesting, and I liked it, but I am such a fan of Clone Wars micro series. Azaj, she's the badass. She's a killer. Same as Maul. I like the Sith when they're Sith. I like Azaj when she's a badass. Filoni has this bad habit of turning characters, whether it is Boba Fett turning old and crappy and sexual with his back to tank and, takes the fangs out of him. Azaj was a badass baldy. And then she's like, I'm a nice woman now. Forgive me. Like Bo-Katan, didn't she genocide people in Mando? And now she's like sitting on her throne, like, I'm a badass woman in cool armor, which she, is cool armor. I'm like, you've defanged the characters, bro. Defanged. And even though this is pretty good storytelling, it was pretty I don't need to see them. You tell their stories into oblivion where I don't care about the characters. Honest to God, the longer on the timeline Filoni tells stories about one character, the worse they get, the more they don't keep congruent with their introduction. And you'll say character growth. Okay, character growth. By changing them fundamentally, that they're all wounded by the Empire and this fallout, I don't need to see that. I love Big Bald Azaj. I love when she was a shredder. The fact that she was an apprentice and she fought Anakin on the Yavin Temple in the micro series, I believed that she was going to take him down so early. And that, there was no Mary Sue. There was no question of her ability because she's a woman. I was like, Baldy is badass. I love her. And that's why it actually pains me. I'm going to give this a C tier because the writing was pretty good. But I can't do it, dude. I cannot in good conscience lie and say that this is higher for me. This is the world I live in. Tales of the Empire. Okay. So
Easy.
Do I need to explain?
No.
Do I need to explain that
No.
if Tales of the Jedi was a shining beacon of storytelling of the Jedi and showing moments between Qui-Gon and Dooku, Tales of the Empire took a Dooku on our goodwill. It was doo-doo. It was shite. I don't like it. Tales of the Jedi, by the way, I love Qui-Gon. I'm a sucker for Qui-Gon and Sir Christopher Lee, rest in peace. So to have such good scenes, heartfelt, watching them was great. And also I was scared because Filoni, he loves to warp the characters. So I'm like, what are you going to do over long time? How long time? Long time. We love you long time with these. I know it's horrible. The problem was Yaddle, voiced by Bryce Dallas Howard. It felt like the biggest Nepo baby moment in history. That voice was so grating. When she
I
showed
didn't even
up,
know it was voiced by her. Wow.
when she showed up with Dooku versus Sidious, she's like, you have to rethink what you're doing. Don't do it. I'm like, shut the fuck up, dude. You have ruined this character instantly. I can't take you seriously. I don't even care anymore that we're in the works and it's Sidious and Dooku and he's having this moment. I love Dooku and I love that he's kind of the gray, like if Qui-Gon's the gray Jedi, Dooku was a gray Sith who stuck to his morals as the Count of Sereno. He had pride, but he also realized he fucked up too late and he committed to, it's like the path to hell is paved with good intentions. And he had pretty good intentions. But ultimately, the payoff, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze where it was them banking on nostalgia and need for moments between characters. But I didn't rate it that high. And I don't even think it's B-. It's barely scraping into B for me.
Jesus.
Dude.
Jesus.
Book of Boba Fett. Boba Fett in the EU was so badass. Remember when they were like, take off your mask and he's like, this is my face. He's Rorschach. I think that actors have too much leeway and I love Tamara Morrison. I do. I thought him as Jango Fett was really good. The number one thing I loved outside of Mace Windu in episode 2, and they took all that goodwill and shit on it. His whole, every time somebody got hurt, I'm chilling my back to tank. Sit in there with me. Let's cook. Don't worry about the smell. I don't clean it. I was like, paunchy Boba doing nothing, betraying his character. Like I said, Filoni gets an established character and Favreau and go, hey, let's warp him from a badass, ruthless killer. He doesn't even kill for pleasure. He kills because of his code and he's a bounty hunter if you get in his way. And they went, oh, he can't be ruthless, as they do with Mando. With all Mandalorians, they went, you know what? Let's defang him. Let's make him a good guy. I am the Major Domo in Tatooine. You must respect me. Pay your respects. And he's just sitting on the throne looking like an idiot. I'm like, this is so whack. When he's fighting stormtroopers with a gaffy stick, his whole weird turn with the sand people, I thought that was good. It's just like they start with these cool stories and they never commit to what they set out to do. And the biggest cardinal sin is Robert Rodriguez, who I loved Desperado in the 90s. Remember Antonio Banderas in that bar? The guns and the guitar case and the folklore, Mexican folklore? Not yet. When he does that and shoots the guns, I was like, this is fucking amazing. When he jumped off the building and shot backwards onto his back, even though it would break his back, I didn't care. I thought this dude is one of the most badass innovators in action. Quentin Tarantino thought the same. And then they get him to direct an episode of Book of Boba Fett, and he remakes Godzilla with a Rancor, and they got shot 50 times on the streets of Tatooine, but their best car saved them. That was dumb. Actually, I did like Timothy Olyphant as Cobb Vanth. When you get good actors and you pay them, things happen. But I did not like the crate dragon not looking like a crate, ruining our KOTOR. We all know that Boba Fett is D-tier. Now, this is a contentious thing. The Acolyte. We'll start there. It had some pretty good costumes, though they didn't weather them. It kind of looked like fancy cosplay. I also liked the Stranger a little bit. I didn't like his weird... See, I feel like they made the Acolyte for the female gaze.
Book talk. Female gaze.
Yeah. They made it because it was like this weird thing where he was like abusive, but he's sexy, so he can do it. And they love that. But like her turning the saber red and all the whackness with the law, I hated it. I couldn't understand the main guy, the Korean guy. I know you defend him, but it sounded he was learning English on set. It sounded like he had a mouthful of marbles. God bless him. He did his best, but I'm like, I can't understand you, bro. I was sitting there pained, being like, this show. The Acolyte, the Manny, whatever his name is, good actor. I like the costumes. I bought both of them because she had the face mask for SWTOR and the Stranger's outfit. I love this Cortos's helmet, him using it as a headbutt. And I thought that there was some good choreography mixed in and force powers, but that's it. The light whip and that big, bald, green-headed woman that was the wife of Leslie Heslin shoved in there with the light whip. The fact that they brought out a new Jedi book and said that she somehow started the Sith and they think it's badass doesn't surprise me. They just shit on everything and they don't understand it. But I'm not a kid when I watch, say, the Clone Wars, but I like the micro TV series. So you can't say, well, you've aged out, you boomer. The Acolyte was clearly made for the female gaze, like we said, book talk. So it's not even for me. These shows, I think why I rate them, other than narrative problems, is they're not made for the bros who started the fandom. We are the backbones, and we've grown up with Star Wars. We get older, and they stop catering to you because they just make kid shows, or they make shit where if you have two brain cells to rub together, you go, wait a second, this is not peak cinema. And okay, I say that, I'm joking around. I think that if you love The Acolyte, you're just as much as a fan of me as me. But to me, it just reeks of hackiness. Now we're going to get into contested territory. Morley Mall. Where would Dash put it? And I'm going to set this up and put myself in hot water. I don't think Maul should have survived Kenobi's cut. I don't. And then Filoni, remember, I hate that Filoni takes characters and changes them fundamentally. He goes from a badass assassin, him and Shadowhunter or Darth Maul lockdown in the EU are peak stories. Or Plagueis, how they describe him as an attack dog assassin. That's peak Maul. For them to take him and warp him down into something where he's got trauma and crying. And I get where his character's gone, but his character shouldn't have gone there, in my opinion. He should have died. But Filoni and his toys, it's not even Filoni, it's Brad Rao, the director. it's not even, you can't even praise or hate Filoni for this, because I don't like Filoni's work, as you know. It's Brad Rao. And so even though I don't think he should have survived, I do like the choreography. I love the choreography. I think that the way he fights the Inquisitors, Marok and the 11th brother, is great. I think that they're actually scary, like Inquisitors should be. I think that him having an apprentice, Devon, she's not some girl power idiot that's one note. Her rage feels justified. Her motivations feel good. I loved Darky, Master Darky. Actually, I really liked whoever these voice actors are, and Captain Lawson. I remember the names. Unfortunately, I remember Two Boots. I fucking hate the droids. I hated Spybot with his bop, 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 because it is focusing towards adults. And I think that's why people universally like Andor and Maul, because we want more adult Star Wars focused Star Wars fans, not bringing in newer fans, not bringing in the ladies for their gays. It's war. Men are always going to be more attracted to war. I'm not saying anything that you don't already know. I think focusing on their core audience instead of trying to bring in new audience after shitting on the core audience, it's just, I think that's what's going to gain you followers, and they need to keep doing. And again, I don't respect the canon because I think that Maul shouldn't have survived. But the thing about this is he did so well. I care about Maul, even though we're in the middle of his story. We know how he dies. We know how Inquisitors die. But I'm invested in Devon's story, and I'm invested in Darky's, who's dead, Lawson, like everybody in the show, and Vader felt like a horror figure. And this is why I can't give it S tier, because that's 9.5 and above. I'm rating it down purely because Maul shouldn't have survived in my books. And I don't feel like, I didn't like the droids. That, like, I don't feel like they're committing to adult storytelling. If this was live action and they just went dark, adult, not, it doesn't mean shredding people. It means committing to darker themes and to more complex storylines. It would have gone higher. And it may have got to S tier if Maul didn't get kicked in the fucking knee 6 times. Like, that was dumb. Like, that was the dumbest thing ever. And also, Filoni said that, oh, I dropped it prematurely. Filoni said that Vader knew how to fight. Sorry, Sam Witwer said that. That's why he crushed Maul. And I was pissed about that. I was like, Maul is a shredder. He's one of the most formidable force, not force users, but lightsaber duelists in the universe, and he would throw Vader off surely. Well, what they said about Maul that made sense to me was that, well, because, you know, Vader's only been in the suit for a year, so he's still clunky, and the suit was made clunky for a good reason. So I felt like Vader would be on the back foot, but they did say that Maul couldn't use his legs, where all his kinetic force came from the ground up, and that's why he couldn't fight Vader on such a great standing. So I'm going to give it A tier. Shadow Lord is the bright spot. I definitely wouldn't give it S. There's a couple of problems. It's pretty bloody good, but again, do I need more fucking animated shows because they can't cook in live action? A lot of people are saying to me, oh, they can't do live action well, do more animated. I'm like, I am not a kid anymore. I can, like, you can do that, but also we need to, like, don't give up on live action because you haven't done it well yet. That's just a cop out for me. Anyway, that's my list. I didn't give you time to talk. I'm so sorry, Sweet. You were meant to be giving me like feedback, and I've just gone on this rage rant. Hit me with it.
That is a very dash list, is all I'm going to say. It's a very, very dash list. I'm not surprised. Actually, a few of them I'm surprised at. Definitely where you would sit Andor and the Clone Wars. Purely because I would have thought, at least when I looked at the Clone Wars as its Star Wars elements, its storytelling, like the characters it gave us as a whole over what Andor gave us, I thought the Clone Wars at least would have sat above that. But I mean, like, look, I mean, like, when I look at C, what I'm seeing is you're looking at it as I don't have a lot of failures. I have a lot of bang average that I'm not interested in, is what I see from a C and a B rating. Um,
Let me
I,
ask you one thing quickly though. When you say I should grade things on what they give us in terms of lore, I fundamentally disagree because it sounds like we're a bunch of dogs begging for scraps, where Disney withholds so much that when they give us a sniff of anything good, we're like, oh, the lore. And I'm like, I want it to be good. I don't like the problem is when you're starving, everything looks good. You know what I mean? And I think that that's
um,
my
well,
contention there.
respectfully, 90% of the Clone Wars is under Lucas, not Disney.
Oh, I'm not some hardcore
Um,
Lucas fanboy, by the way. I
yeah,
I
yeah,
100% believe that he is not he's the greatest world builder that we've ever had, an innovator in movies. But
yeah.
I think that the minutia, the writing, and the smaller things he should delegate out more. And I felt like he was doing side quests in Clone Wars that he didn't give a fuck. He's just like, bring Maul back, and Filoni's like, really? He's like, bring him back, then kill him. So I'm just like, I don't know. I don't like I'm not some Lucas fanboy that says he's infallible. No way. I love the EU and I think it's fallible. I will rate everything fairly. Like I'll shit on something. I don't care who made it. I will just tell you how it makes me feel.
And yeah, I guess that's the other element of it as well. Like a lot of it, when we look at it, is feelings based. And I think why for me Rebels was so big because it made me feel a lot. It brought me back to the era that I loved, like the music. And I think that's one thing Rebels did that a lot of shows didn't do was the actual scores, the original scores, the music that they used. They were they were the actual, um, music from the movies.
Are you talking about
Um,
Rebels?
yeah,
It
yeah,
was a Kevin Kiner special. It was close. It was good. It was A
it
tier.
was
It's not
good.
John Williams, but it is. I think music makes or breaks Star Wars. To be honest,
100%. Um, I'm not surprised by more. I thought you probably would have given it an S tier just to jazz it up. But I mean, like elements of this list. I mean, obviously, I understand you, so these are your takes. Sometimes I'm just like, oh, you would actually give the actual grifters a run for their money here of this list. um, no, I mean, like Tails. Obviously, I think it fits well. I would have obviously, where I put it. Um, I think you judge it obviously subjectively to your taste, but I think you're trying to hone down a point of what your expectations are, and this list shows your expectations necessarily aren't necessarily being catered for. And what I see when I see B's and C's for me is just like a bang average. So I see a lot of bang average in your opinion, and then obviously D is like obviously the dunce, like they're just complete failures. Um,
I think to your point, and I agree with you, is that I'm a 40-year-old bro. And so if I was 16, this list could be like it could be Clone Wars and the kid shows up. But I have to give my take at where I am and exactly what I want, because that's the only thing that differentiates us. If I gave the list of me perceiving the list as for the core audience, I would rate Rebels a lot higher if I was talking about if I was trying to tell a 10-year-old to watch Star Wars. That'll be A tier. It would be S tier for a 10-year-old. But because I'm rating it as me, I don't give a fuck. Like I'm just like,
yeah,
it's good, but it really felt it's Filoni. He does these like really good slivers of S tier, then he falls over to like D, where I'm like rolling my eyes. And I don't know. That's just me and Filoni, but yeah. So that's why the list, because I think it's important for us to be as open and honest as possible. The differences, and we keep saying this, between a grifter and a shill, because we only use those titles as jokes, is that a grifter and a shill to me are inauthentic. That's what makes them a
yeah,
grifter or a shell, is they're
absolutely.
pandering to an audience for gain, personal gain. They
Mhm.
lie by, like, let's say if I was a true grifter, I couldn't rate anything above C tier because my audience disavows Disney completely, which I wish Disney never got Star Wars. I would love if they sold it tomorrow. I don't think that they can save it per se. it's on life support, and they, you know, if we get more level, but they've fucked it hard. And I'm an EU fanboy. But I will say if a mall moves me enough, and if they hit the, you know, they get good enough writing characters, I'll say it's an A. A grifter can't do that. A shill cannot put acolyte at D. A shill can't, like a true shill, because then they would get questioned for their allegiances. You know what I mean? So that's the difference. If we're just being honest for a second.
No, absolutely. You're never gonna if you follow any of those. I don't know. This sounds horrible, but like, I guess trying to find opinions out of emotion when you're angry about a franchise, or trying to be, if you have to try to be positive about something, that's just going to lead to apathy at the end of the day, and it's just disingenuous. So, like I've always said, and I've had a lot of people unfollow me what I've actually said. I go, if you follow, you know, channels on those polar opposites, you're never going to get an objective opinion. It's disingenuous, and sometimes with disingenuity on the internet, I fail to understand how they can get such loud voices behind them. It's really strange.
It's easy. It sells. Sex sells. Being an absolute see you next Tuesday to other people, and putting people don't care about us being the Bendu to try and be reasonable as much. They are more now, like you said. But for the last 5 years, because this is going to be very difficult to say without getting political, because we're not Americans and we don't care, unfortunately. Sorry, Americans, but I shouldn't have to. And if you say you should care, then name 3 Australian prime ministers. I'll wait. I'm joking. I'm just saying we shouldn't. But the problem with Hollywood in general and Disney is that with all the political rhetoric that has seeped into the fandom openly, whether it be the cast or them openly admitting they have checkboxes and agendas, etc., and that taking precedence over good media and writing, I would say has made things a fever pitch, because you're not just defending, hey, I like this show, or I don't like it. You are now defending your political stance. And like, I remember the first thing I saw was, you remember that, I always talk about him because he drives me crazy, the dude that cries over everything, like the Ray Skywalker trailers. Sees like a ship on screen and he's weeping. Drives me nuts, because again, the difference between someone who's a shill or a grifter and normal is inauthenticity. I don't know. I don't believe that he's crying because he actually would cry, but he could. I could be wrong. I don't want him to be bullied, but I don't believe it. And that's what I need, is authenticity. But when people made fun of him, and some conservative article was made, and they all started making fun of him, and then the other guys piled on to say defend Disney and him, that's when I knew we had a dagger in the sand point that I didn't want to be a part of anymore, where we're no longer talking about the media. We're talking about greater political rhetoric, and Disney did nothing to stop it. And so, because Disney's obviously on the side that benefits them the most, you know, they allowed it to happen. But the fandom's been so fractious that these arguments were not fun. It felt very heated. It felt very personal. It's not about Star Wars anymore. And this is the greatest fandom, the greatest franchise on the planet, and yet it devolved into something bad for 5 years. I think we're over it now. This is not all doom and gloom. This is why we're doing the stream. You and I were like, we can talk about anything and make it fun and not attack each other.
No, 100%. No, and I agree. I actually just want to pull up one difference comment, one at 2:13 p.m. where he mentions, I feel like there's also generational differences in the way Star Wars is perceived as well.
Oh yeah, where is that 213? It doesn't show on the screen. I just figured out we've been putting them on the screen thinking that it'll show up, but it doesn't, because it wants me to pay like $80 a week. I'm so sorry, bros. I really want to see your comments on screen.
So I agree to a certain aspect, and I also disagree with that.
I agree with it.
Why, not always. I mean, to a bulk point, when you have such a pushback from a fan base, that generational difference isn't pigeonholed into one demographic, that spans across 3. And even now, Gen Alpha are coming out saying we don't like the new shit. So there actually is consistency between 3 generations of where they see a lack of quality, a lack of writing. There's fatigue in terms of pushing, pandering, all these types of things. And, you know, I think people are waking up to the point that corporations don't necessarily do it for a big part of their goodwill. They do it because they think it sells the demographics of people. The only reason why corporations do things is obviously to make money. I think there, and maybe a sprinkle of elements, like some people like to obviously push a message. But when I'm saying, like, if you look at someone like Rebels, obviously I'm one case study. It's like I'm 37 and I loved it.
Oof.
And like and Dash said from his point of view, he goes, I'm a 40-year-old star, bro. I need something a bit more adult. And then you look at the demographics who love Rebels and Clone Wars. I don't necessarily think that generational differences are so stark as they were when we got The Phantom Menace in 99. That is one I can say yes, because I was a kid when I watched The Phantom Menace in the cinemas for the first time, and I loved Jar Jar and I loved all that. And then I saw some questionable characters that, were just boomers and they hated it and tore it to shreds. That was the biggest generational difference I saw, was with the OT and the prequels. And then post prequels, I think we saw a bit more of a blend. But now there's a general consensus that we just
Can I
don't
jump
push
in?
back on the sequels. Yeah.
Star Wars should always be. Movies in the 70s and 80s were so dark, kids' shows still felt freaking creepy as shit, if you remember. Watch a Dark Crystal, you're like, why is this for kids? The Never-Ending Story and stuff like that. Every Star Wars in the, like, OT, Empire Strikes Back, most adult. Episode 3, most adult. They age so much better. Like, Return of the Jedi would have been my favorite as a kid. I used to love it, but I hated Ewoks. The pandering to a segment to just sell toys or whatever. I feel like George got somewhat aware that Star Wars sells toys for kids because he had the rights, and that was his cardinal sin with Episode 1. Was he tried to please too many audiences, which Disney does. God bless him. Dave Filoni does. I remember watching Rebels and people, or even Clone Wars, people screeched, more adult, and he would try and please everybody. I'm saying stop that and just make adult shit, because Andor and Maul have proven that adults are hungry. And Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, definitely the most adult, has proven that if you make adult Star Wars, it will do the best. And the reason why the EU boomers, we love it so much, is because that was the carry-on adult stories. And so people are like, finally, Star Wars has grown up with this. But Disney and Lucas, to an extent, resisted that. They were like, no, there's too much money in toys and kids, and let's make kids shows. And then they would forsake their adult audience. The adult audience would begrudgingly watch and be like, hey, this is okay, but I'd rather adult shit. And they were like, you've aged out, or, oh, we'll try. And then they'd half-assedly put it in. And there's this imbalance of trying to, like, at least for Skeleton Crew, they did it just for kids. That's what I want. Make a kids show, put a Disney kids thing, and that's it. And make enough adult shit so that I don't have to be on such a Star Wars drought. I watch the kids thing begrudgingly, and then I rate it because I'm so hard up for Star Wars. Kathleen Kennedy saying people Star Wars fatigue, so we're going to stop making. It's like, no, the opposite. EU it. Make as much adult shit as possible and kids. Hell, make stuff for the ladies. Make them have their thirst traps as long as it stays away from Darth Plagueis. Fucking give them the High Republic. I don't give a fuck. But your core audience, as you know, is the bros. We all grow up. You're only kids for 5 years before teens, and then that's gone. You've got a whole demographic it's literally a religion. You've got a demographic for life. Cater to each part of that. Stop just trying to half-assedly cater to everybody, making a Mando and going, oh, fuck, Mandalorian's trending a lot, but kids are buying the Grogu toys. Let's just make Grogu fun for the kids. Like, you saw how fucked that trailer was for Mando and Grogu, the movie, because they were trying to cater to two separate audiences and they bash against each other. Like, you get this whiplash thematically where you're like, whoa, who's this for? Not for me, for me. Not for me, for me. I think they need to, that is the cardinal sin, is Make certain media for different audiences and stick to that and don't fucking deviate.
I think that can work. Can we pull up Star Force 1's comment?
They won't see it, by the way, but
They won't see it.
can you acknowledge Filoni on screen with his toy box? He loves his toys.
In Filoni, we trust with his toys.
I love you, Praxium, for making that picture. It fucking gets me every time. His toys in the toy box. Filoni will never put them away.
So they
make them look different.
Saying, when you're highlighting them, I'm looking up at your YouTube page as well. The highlighted chats come up.
They pop up. You guys see them on screen?
Yeah, they can. I'm looking at the stream now. So this is going to lead on to what Dash was saying before. So, like, I just to be honest, there's a little bit there because George always said that he wanted to make movies for young people, and Star Wars was originally cast for young people. It's just that when they mentioned that generational shift back then, that kids were different back then. If you remember back in the 80s and the early 90s, we had 13-year-olds babysitting. Right now, I wouldn't give a 25-year-old person that I knew the care of my child. You know what I mean? It's just like that sort of generationally now we are different. Even as kids, we were subjected to more of an adult lifestyle. So, and Star Wars, although for kids, obviously had a bit more of a serious tone to it because that's how we were back then as kids. But I think here as well, like I really think they shifted their target audience away from the old hardcore fans to the lightsaber twirling TikTok girls. So the audience has changed. And I think that's the hardest part. It's just like, yes, audience has changed, interests have changed. Social media is one big thing. And back then, if you're a Star Wars fan in the 90s, like it was still very taboo. In my opinion, like growing up. Like Star Wars back then wasn't cool. You're a nerd. And you got picked on a little bit. Until you found like your
2015.
Yeah, until you got your exactly right. Until you got your nerd cohort. But that's to say like there wasn't girls twirling lightsabers around back then. Like the heavy demographic is males, 100%. But now we're sort of looking at people on the internet showing how much they like something. Now, you can argue, do they do it for clout, do they do it for money, or are some of these people really fans? Like I've been to a celebration and those people are fans. They love that shit. And there's a huge mix of guys and girls too. So I don't necessarily like, for example, I don't like seeing TikTok girls with lightsabers twirling around. Saying that is like, so they don't exist as fans. That's not true. They absolutely do. I do concede that there are these people that do it for money because they know Star Wars is cool. Don't get me wrong.
I don't think he's saying that. What he's saying is that they've debased it. You've gone from the old hardcore fans who happily spent money, who are still the bulk. I don't care if it's 100 years of Disney pushing shit. I will tell you this. The word war attracts men more than females. Just like we have different preferences. And they've added females to Star Wars, cool. Like you're always welcome, but they've diverted and changed Star Wars hoping to double their audience, but instead they've diluted it. It's like if you gave the bros, the number one selling novel for females is 50 Shades of Grey. If I turned up and went, hey, that Dorian guy makes me feel uncomfortable, whatever his name is, make him fat and a loser, not a billionaire. And also he's like they would lose their fucking mind. So we have all these franchises where we're like, don't dilute it, don't change it, Disney. It's a target audience. It's nothing against females, but they are clearly just trying to sell more toys. I know what they're doing. I don't care. But when they step on our toes, instead of doubling the output, making Star Wars bros, Star Wars girls, and giving us both what we want, but instead they just try and shoehorn it lazily on. And it doesn't work because we have differences naturally that we are attracted to. Our power fantasies are different. Like if you notice, Luke Skywalker got his ass kicked till he became competent. We're programmed as men to want to become competent providers, survivors, whatever. It all just goes back to biology. Women didn't complain about Rey not having to go through the same thing because I believe they have different expectations of their protagonists. Like if you ever look at a rom-com or a female-led movie that they love, the girl is never forced to grow as much as they're forced by choice of like two guys. And one's like this really, like The Notebook, he's like a really good solid dude. And then they're like, how am I going to leave this guy for the sexy bad boy and cheat on him and justify it? Like that, and these are core themes. Like, if you've ever seen girl romance novels, and I'm not saying it's wrong, I don't think morality shouldn't be placed on this. I don't think women are wrong for liking different shit. What I think happens though is if you have an existing franchise that is catering to men's power fantasies, because I want to be a big bad boy who slays, a Sith and gets the girl, and then you try and put a female version on it, it just becomes a bit of a mess. And so Star Force One saying that shifting their target audience away from hardcore bros to lightsaber twirling TikTok girls, what he means is they've seen these girls. They know that they run the platforms a lot, that they are, again, it's not anything to do with good or bad. It's just, if you get the girls, you double your money, but they just did it in the shittiest way possible. I think it's a universe for a reason, and that they should. I don't understand female media. I don't understand kid media anymore. I'm too old. I want what I want for the bros, and I want kids, females, everybody else to have their own slivers. They should have categories on Disney Plus, that it's a universe. There's space for all of us. Like, you're more than welcome. But I still think that the core pillar is the bros for Star Wars, and always will be. And it's just disingenuous to pretend that it's not. And it's utterly disgraceful when they turn around and go, how dare you say Star Wars is for men, when for 30 years of its lifespan, we were made fun of for liking it. And they were like, you're a bro, you're a loser who likes Star Wars. And it was always dudes. You know what I mean? Like, so women are always welcome in the space, but I just think that our needs and wants and desires are so different with media that it can convolute things. That's it. Okay, you show me the top 10. You get women and men. Top 10 female shows and top 10 men loved shows, and they will be different.
So here's the thing: if I was 100%, but like, it's not necessarily like Star Wars is always going to be male dominated 100%. That's without
there we go.
argument. That's without argument. But to say that there wasn't elements of it that appealed to females, even the original trilogy, like the romance with Han and Leia, that was obviously more guided to a female audience. And as you said about the different expectations about like a protagonist, I mean, like, if you look at Rey being an absolute Mary Sue, which she didn't really have to work for anything. But then we also look at Leia, who was born into royalty, like when she was adopted. You know what I mean? Like Luke was the one that struggled on a farm, had to do the hard slog, got his ass kicked. She was royalty.
No, look. I think women. I think I'm speaking in generalities. There are definitely women who like Star Wars for the action, for everything. I'm not disavowing them. What I'm saying is, if you get two people, like enough of a litmus, like enough people in two genders, and then you say, "What's your favorite media for the bros?" and it's like action and shit, and girls roll their eyes that you want to watch Die Hard on Christmas. I know my wife does, versus what she wants to watch, which is like ER and shit and slop. For me, we're different fundamentally, and this used to be 100% a bro franchise, and Disney's tried to just double their money, and I get it, but what they've done is they've perverted, warped, or corrupted like the story. I'm not saying girls don't belong, and that some girls naturally, like let's say 10% were a part of this. I'm not saying that bros own it and that girls aren't invited. What I'm saying is war naturally will be for the bros, and Disney's like, well, how do we change that? But they are forsaking their core audience in that process. I'm not saying women, like, again, 10%, 20, 30, I don't know, 7. It doesn't matter. I'm saying you keep Star Wars what it is, because war will always appeal to men more than women. Don't then try and take the war out of Star Wars, like Warcraft. They're trying to take the world war out because they say it's too scary for new people. It's like, stop trying to double your money by diluting brands. Just stop it.
Yeah, no. I'm just saying I don't think they're diluting it. I think they have.
You don't.
Like,
Look at the Acolyte.
Yeah. No, I'm saying they dilute it in that way when they try, like you said, too hard to appeal to a certain demographic. And I think what you said is just like, do we need to have shows that cater to everyone? No, I don't believe that. And as a corporation, I wouldn't do that, because if I made a show that just concentrated on females and what they want on Book Talk for in a Star Wars flavor, they would lose money. No one would watch that. Even a lot of girls dislike the Acolyte, because a lot of the people in here now, a Star Wars fan doesn't watch Star Wars because I think it tickles to what they want from a gender base. I think the universe and Star Wars as a whole is what attracted people, both men and women. It just happened that obviously a lot more men love that story first. and still do
Okay.
today. But if we had a
So
book
my
club version, that would be horrible. Like, I don't think even girls would like that because that's just not Star Wars.
I don't know. I think that you could, if you made enough, if you catered to the bros enough. Let's say we got 7 out of 10 shows that were pure bro core, and then 3 out of 10 were to the other part of the audience, or whatever the pie is. I'm not against it. Excuse me. I don't care if they make the Notebook in Star Wars and they openly say the Notebook. What I care about is if they don't make shit for the bros, put the Notebook in Star Wars and say that you're defensive chuds and that you're evil because you turn around and go, we got one show a year and this one sucks and it's not even for us. And they go, how dare you? It's like, come on.
But more
We don't.
Shadow, then that cartoon would probably show that you can have, again, females and great story writing, and that's not necessarily like overly for the bros. That's just a Star Wars story with those characters, and that'll
Yeah, but Star
encapsulate
Wars
both of
is,
them.
George Lucas said it. George Lucas literally said, they said, why don't you put more women in Star Wars? And he goes, because women aren't a part of war. Like, I'm not saying they should be excluded, like they don't deserve a spot, but forcing that, like, Star Wars will always be naturally more for the bros. And
Mhm.
I'm not, it's not about gender, like age as well. I believe the more adult, the better. Like, you can have Filoni do the George Lucas vein, the main stories, the pillar for the kids is an insert point. That's really bad phrasing. For them to get into the franchise, I don't care. But then everything, you've got to have the bro. Like, when I say the bros, I mean like the adults, the core audience as well. Like, I can stop saying men or bros, just core audience. And we know who the core audience is. Like, pretend there's no gender, just look at a pie chart. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying this, there's no morality to this. And unfortunately, as soon as you say the bros or women or whatever, morality in the culture war creeps in and people go, you're a bad person, you hate women. I'm like, I don't. But, you know, if I went to 50 Shades of Grey universe and I started saying as a dude what I 100% would want to see, women would fucking lose their mind, and rightly so, because I'm just perverting something that already exists and it was made for them. It already exists, made for them. Star Wars, they're taking stuff
Yeah.
that already exists, made for us, and then they're changing it. What I'm saying is the good thing about Star Wars, unlike 50 Shades of Grey, that is one storyline of a couple, Star Wars is such a big universe. There can be more than enough for every flavor of the rainbow of person, but you need to cater to the bros for the core audience. That's all I'm saying.
No, I hear you, but I think like the way I would translate that in my mind is like don't lose the essence of what Star Wars was, and if it was male dominated, that's fine. I think two things can be true at once here, because like they tried to have a dig at doing something a bit more female with the Acolyte, and look how that crashed and burned, even from female
That's
audiences.
my
They fucked
point
it.
though.
They hated it.
They went for
So
adult and they went for bro and they got
yeah,
more. And it's like, okay, that's that perfect balance. Like, but
exactly.
also great writing transcends this argument a little bit in the fact that, like you said, it feels like Star Wars. If it's good enough writing, like for my kids, I watch Boss Baby, and I think that thing is so well written. And I'm not the target demo, but Maul Shadow Lord stands out as great writing. A lot of these
Yeah,
things, it's
exactly.
writing first that is the problem. But
Yeah,
there is also a demographic problem underneath that, because once the good writing goes, it becomes very evident. Here's a good example. All right, The Bold and the Beautiful, or whatever it's called, this show. You know, Days of Our Lives, just
Mhm.
pretty people, relationships,
Mhm.
bad writing. Why do people watch it? Because there's gorgeous people. Sex sells, right? Star Wars, without good writing, you then fall to the next tier. What's the next tier? Who's this made for? So I feel like if it's good enough writing, it shouldn't that will help lend itself to not even have these discussions so much. Like, they have to keep to the core audience, but like my favorite character is Kreia, which is an 80-year-old woman. I
Yeah.
don't identify with 80-year-old women, but the philosophy she spits is so good. So writing, to your point, is that's the god that they need to worship, and they don't even do that.
Yeah. No, and look, I agree, but like, see, when I look at Maul, the show, for me, that show ignores the culture war. It goes just back to good writing, and everyone universally absolutely loves it. Then I look at, for example, like if Star Wars went to a point and it started making shows for everyone individually, that would cheapen the brand by me deeply.
Oh, so
Or
who should they
cheapen the brand.
target then? Who should they target?
They should just target what worked in the start. That original trilogy,
Oh,
but even the
who would the
prequels to a
target
certain point.
audience?
The target audience is
George
people.
said little, like 12-year-old boys. So are you saying they
Yeah.
target 12-year-old boys?
I think at the start, his intention, and he's admitted this, his intention was to make something for little boys. And then when he saw what happened with the
Why
prequels, and
little
he
boys?
he did, he said like young people, like kids, right?
I know,
Predominantly
just little boys is a little bit
little
weird.
kids. And then he looked at like what happened after the prequels, and he's just like, he literally said, he goes, "I don't know why you guys like this." So like even he was very, very shocked at how many people in, like, in their 30s and 40s, now in their 50s, still love this stuff. So from that magic source, just make what you did before, and that encapsulated everyone. Like, even though two things can be true at once, just because you intended to make something for a certain demographic of people, he accidentally just cast a wide net because he's, like you said, his story and his world building was so good. He got everyone. But the problem is now is that everyone wants to see themselves in a piece of media. And when you actually take that representation and allegory politically, I guess used incorrectly, to new movies and media, that dilutes what you originally made. It dilutes the substance, in my opinion.
I
So
disagree. I think that the expanded universe proved that the movies can be for more kids, but again, the adult ones do the best. And that the expanded universe proved that there's a whole universe and that his world building's top tier. Now it's a runaway train where they're a victim of their own success because they set the bar. And we've had it before. So just keep fucking doing that. Don't lean away from it. The difference between you and I is I would take the EU over the main movies in a heartbeat. I don't even care. Episodes 1 to 6, I would drop that like a bad habit if it meant I kept the books, audiobooks, comics, games from the EU. That material, because it was adult focused, spoke to me. I became a Star Wars fan truly at 16 when I played Jedi Outcast, and I first realized why a lightsaber could deflect blaster bolts. It wasn't magic to me anymore. Then I read the novel I, Jedi my mum got from the library. I liked Star Wars, but I was like that was it for me. And the EU catered to that. I think that them killing the EU was the single worst decision they ever did, but they've got a universe. Like I keep saying this, keep the main sliver of movies and content for the 12-year-old boys. Keep it dark so that there's an adult jump point, and then make the EU for the bros, and then the other, whatever piece of the pie. They say 7% is the ladies and they like the main stuff, but they want their own special stuff. I'm saying give it to them. I'm being inclusive. I'm like, bro, give it. If they're like, we need more kids shows that are just for kids, do it. But your main sliver, as per usual, is the bros. We need more bro stuff. Maybe I'm selfish. I don't even care.
No,
I don't even
I
care.
honestly think they've tried that by giving people different things, and look where we've gotten to today. The further you stray from what made something great, the further it's going to dilute your brand. And like, I honestly don't want to see like a 50 Shades of Grey Star Wars EU edition. For me, that cheapens the brand. It
What are you
does. It
talking
cheapens
about?
it completely.
But
It does.
you're arguing that it should go back to the kids because that they're the main people.
No,
But the
not the
most,
kids. Not the
the
kids.
most,
Narratively, like how
the,
you
the
did it. Like,
most,
you know what I mean?
well, the most EU show, arguably, lately is Andor, and it's a runaway success. And it's the most adult show. Riddle me that.
It's also very boring.
But it's still you're the outlier in this discussion. Most people accept and love the Andor because it's going in that direction. That's the direction they want because we're not kids anymore. Like I think you're the outlier because you'll watch a Rebels and you'll be like, that is absolutely serviceable. I love it. For me, I'm like, great themes, great music, great stuff. I'm not a kid. I want more bite. Let's raise it.
I know George Filoni's
last. Well, George Filoni. George Lucas's last project was Star Wars Underworld, which was going to mirror The Sopranos, my favorite show of all time. He was going in that direction. It was all meant to go in that direction. He finally said, this is actually where we want to go. Give it more bite. And that's why people are pissed at 2010 when it all fell apart. The games stopped being good. The stories did. The EU died when they sold to Disney. We're all adults. Most of us are adults. I'm defending as a 40-year-old man. I want to talk to the bros. I wouldn't expect a kid or a female to like these streams because I'm not, maybe an outlier does, but I'm not talking to them. I'm talking from who I am. And this is my perspective, if that makes sense. So I get that, but I'm just saying that most people have proven that the darker, more adult focused stuff is the upswing. They want it. But should they then, and this is the question, create stuff that's for kids like Maul when clearly there's this dichotomy of they're being pulled in two directions. Mando and Grogu, like they keep doing this thing. They're trying to split the audience. That's the biggest sin to me.
No, they do. But like you said, like Andor was good because it was more adult focus. Yes. Was it a good Star Wars show? No. Would it have a lot of adult interest because it was adulty? Yes. But you bet your ass when if George Lucas made that, that sort of like mobster show, it actually still would have felt more like Star Wars than Andor would have, 100%. Actually would have had those elements that still related it to the brand. When I looked at Andor, I didn't look at the Star Wars brand. It didn't look like that. I can look at the last 3 episodes and I go, yeah, now we're there. So if they hit the nail on the head with those themings of the last 3 across the entire series, then yeah, I would have given it a lot higher of a rating, in my opinion. But I understand what you're saying, but you have to do it right. You can't just give
but
something
you're the
an
outlier.
adult bite.
Do you acknowledge
I
that
don't think
you're
I'm
the
an outlier.
outlier?
No, I don't think I'm the
You
outlier
don't think the
because
rhetoric online is Andor is amazing?
I think I can say objectively, Andor is amazing, and it is.
There we go.
But it's as a Star Wars show, a lot of people will tell you as well, it was boring. It was a snooze fest. And like, you know what I mean? If for me to be an adult is to be bored, then I don't want to be an adult. In that
Okay,
regard,
so let me
watching
question this.
Andor.
Why do they love it if most people say it's a bit of a snooze fest, yet they rate it so universally highly? Why? Because it's dark adult themes.
It is, but it's also produced magnificently. The acting is amazing, right? What I'm talking about it more from not how the show is constructed, how a piece of media is constructed, because you look at it from that angle, it is absolutely flawless. But if I look at it and go, does it feel like Star Wars? Because even the EU, when you read it, still felt like Star Wars. Or when I watch it, there's elements of it when I look at it, I'm just like, it's missing the magic. It doesn't make you feel like you're in that universe. And that's what I lacked from it until those last 3 episodes.
I think it was 20% too, like it felt a little too far of a step out of Star Wars, 20%, but it was still, I still think it was universally praised for the reasons that I've stated. And I will die on that hill that people want adult Star Wars, number one. And every time they're going to do it, it's going to get praised and they're still not going to fucking figure it out. People will just keep making excuses or other reasons.
Okay.
But you're not meant to agree with me.
No,
Or not agree with me, just kind of brush it off.
I mean, like,
agree to disagree.
No. Oh, you said you're going to die on the hill. I was like, okay, fair enough. The writing of Andor was so good that it transcended the boring parts. No, 100% disagree.
Oh, there was like 20-30% too much drag. There was like it just needed tightening. They just needed tightening.
Like Star Force 1. Let me just let you look at this for a second. With all the story points and the lack of the plot moving along, besides the character development and great acting, what substance did you get in that show? Because I can show you in that show, there was like minutes upon minutes upon minutes of where they're just talking to each other and it forsake the actual plot and they missed good points where they could have actually driven that good acting, that great budget that they bloody had, more than Kenobi, which for me was absurd, to actually tell a more compact story. Like in that last season,
it was
you
a
had
character story. It was character driven. No, but
But
it's
what
not about
happened that we
happening.
don't
It's
know?
the tension between Cyril and his mother and the serial and the feeling of helplessness that slowly gets turned on its head. You don't expect him to be such a bureaucrat and to finally snap and have empathy. And it felt real. It didn't feel like, yay, we're the resistance. It felt like a man believably being turned, and people don't be turned on their belief systems easily. That took a lot of push. Or Dedra with the internal politics. This was a political drama. It was filled with that naturally takes a lot of tension and time. And I think they did the tension building pretty well. It was a little slow in some points. I don't want to see Mon Mothma dance for fucking 12 minutes straight to shitty techno.
Look, with Dedra, the ISB characters, they were done well, but they didn't pay as much attention onto them as they should have. Like you said, we got more with Cyril eating cereal with his mum. And for me, that was stupid and boring.
And you think that's too choppy and a drag to stick to the point, but you think
you need to
Rebels
move the plot
is
along.
S tier. You think Rebels is
Rebel
S tier?
Rebels had for me a more interesting storyline because I don't see why you can't be more serious and actually have things like obviously it appealed to things more that I like. I like the Force, I like more George Lucas style, I like mythology a little bit more. Andor for me was like I'm watching a bloke eat cereal and he hates his life because he's going to the public service. I couldn't give one less of a fuck. So it's just like on how you want to be serious. Just because something is about the Force and has lightsabers doesn't mean it can't be serious. So when I'm looking at Andor, I was just like, I love the Empire side of things. I loved Luthen. I gave zero fucks about Cyril.
God,
I
that
didn't.
film was good.
I did not care about the lesbian relationship because I just don't care, like about that stuff. I think Andor they also got it wrong. Like they couldn't even keep track of their own canon. So in Rogue One, he goes, "I've been in this fight since I was 6 years old." Yet in Andor, you see him join the fight in his late 30s, and I was kind of like, "What the fuck? Why is that happening?"
I think that was because when his life got uprooted as a kid, that's what he meant.
But he wasn't in that fight. He wasn't in this fight that he was referring to.
Uh,
So
I
like they
thought he meant like he's been in the fight, as in like I've had skin in the game since I've been 6. Like they pulled me out of my life into this since I was 6.
no, because he wasn't even doing anything when he was 6. Like in that time, he just ran away and he was looking for his sister, which is a plot point that they completely fucking ignored. Like that stuff
I forgot
annoys
about
me.
that.
Yeah, it annoys me, right? So like they can't necessarily even keep track of their own story points sometimes. So those little things that you try and set up, it's just like, okay, why is his sister significant? Who is she? I didn't know he had a sister. It wasn't mentioned in Rogue One. Why is he entering the fight late? Like the Ray he got arrested and went to the prison. The prison scene, although it was cool, it made a great meme, No Way Out. I was like, that took how many episodes and did not show me the formation of the rebellion, which is what we were going to get. And we didn't get, and I didn't get that. So like it failed me on a few points that they said they promised they wouldn't deliver.
Do you need George Lucas frenetic pacing from the OT, and you need lightsabers shiny to be a Star War? Because it
No,
was all character building. It was all
no, you don't
motivation
need that.
building.
I think you need a balance, and I think it dragged it too hard. Like for me, eating cereal with your mum is not character building. I'm like,
I think it
you can
dragged a bit, but it's still it's its own genre. Like it's in the universe, but it's not an OT movie. If you look at it through the lens of it has to be a George Star Wars, it failed. But if you look at it as this is a serious drama set in Star Wars, I think it did exceedingly well, and it catered to an adult audience who was hungry for more depth in characters.
Would you rather watch Revenge of the Sith, A New Hope, or Andor?
Revenge of the Sith. That's like my most watched Star Wars, which is weird. But I had it on DVD and it's like my only DVD. So I'll comfort watch the shit out of that. But that doesn't, I think things that shouldn't, and here's me arguing against myself. I think things like the EU had a bunch of shit that I didn't necessarily like, but I like that it existed. I want more genres. Like I want us to have so much Star Wars that we're greedy for picks, where the stuff that won't necessarily appeal to me, like I said, like romance or something for another demo that's not me. But I want the bros catered to first. So we get our Revenge of the Sith or Andor or whatever, but then it expands out. So it's not just a linear, because I tell you what, you cannot do the hero's journey, which George bases it on, and everything's poetry and rhymes and the same family and shit over and over and over again ad nauseum without it getting boring. And I think that on a long enough timeline, George would have to break from that because that gets fucking boring. And if that's what a Star Wars is, like thematically and everything, it's just the same beats over and over. I don't want the Legend of Zelda where it's the same story with the same characters with the same thing. I love the Legend of Zelda, but also you get a little bit of fatigue. And so Star Wars as a universe really opens up. And that's why I'm an EU fan, because it still has the through lines, but it's its own thing.
But comparing those stories, for example, to Andor, like you can still be in a Star Wars universe and still be very adulty. I mean, like who was it? Cade Skywalker was smoking drugs, so he couldn't see the Force ghost of his grandfather.
Yeah, but that's my point. That's the EU peak.
Like, yeah, but that's what I'm saying, right? Like, you know, if you want to make something serious, like an adulty, like if you actually brought that into it, like if they actually made a more adulty, like Old Republic, and I know people are skeptical, but like I don't want Disney to touch the Old Republic because they're going to ruin it. You know, if I heard that wasn't happening, I'd be like, yeah, I'd love to watch that. I don't want a Game of Thrones Star Wars. I don't need to see like Jedi's, you know, fornicating and shit. Like, I don't care about that. For me, that'll take me completely out of Star Wars. If you had like those overt themes in it. But yeah, like from Andor's perspective, yes, it was refreshing for a lot of older people because it was more serious. But my only counterpoint is that it still needs the touch magic of Star Wars. And I'm not saying you need lightsabers to do that. You don't need to necessarily mention the Force to do that. You can like look at like some of the bounty hunter episodes in Clone Wars with like Cad Bane and stuff like that. They were completely bounty hunter focused. It wasn't, and that had a lot of those lacking Force elements and I guess lightsabers there too. So it can be done. Like I hope I'm making sense with what I'm saying with Andor here. Is that it just didn't feel like Star Wars to me.
I understand what you're saying. I'd say it was universally praised for a reason as a counterpoint, though. Like, I agree with some of your points. It was too slow for me, and it was 20% too little Star Wars feel because Tony Gilroy openly said he didn't like Star Wars. I do want that more alignment, brand alignment, a little bit, but I'm saying that people are so hungry for an adult Star Wars, they overlooked it because they were hungry. And the problem with these things, judging them in the moment when you're in a famine, is you'll gobble them up and then your opinion may change a year later when you go, oh shit, looking back. If we had as much Star Wars as possible, 10 shows a year, to my point, and they're all different and a lot of them catered to different audiences, would Andor score as highly? I don't know. I think people would pick apart it was a little bit slower than it should have been. And there was elements that weren't Star Warsy. So yeah, I agree, but I just think it ticked a lot of boxes and it proved there is that hungry audience. On that note, we have to wrap. Time's gotten away from me.
No, I mean, like, look, just to wrap it up, like you did say, like it was critically acclaimed for a reason. I mean, look at the Clone Wars, how critically acclaimed that is. But you gave it.
No, I agree. I wasn't the demographic. I was 25 or something. So, like, I get it. That's why I said I'm rating it as me, not as what I would think as them. When I used to do Rebels videos, I would put my mindset as to I would have to go, okay, kid shows are 20% slower than I would like because for kids to keep up. And there's no action that is going to be hardcore. You're not going to see a saber go through the back of the head or anything cool. Or I don't know. But, you know, it's not all about violence. People think this. But if you look at Star Wars The Old Republic cinematics, they're the most Star Warsy, action-packed, fucking awesome things.
Oh, yeah.
3 minutes are in. They don't need to be too hardcore. What I'm saying is it's the writing and it's the intent and it's the target audience. Anyway, thank you guys so much for giving your opinions. We're going to be doing these shows every week. Really appreciate you having the SHILL, the lovely SHILL sweep.
Thank you. No, that was actually a lot of fun. I actually do want to see you guys like talk to us on like Twitter or Dash's Discord and things like that to give us your ratings. I think that'll be really fun to see.
We're going to do one next week.
I'm not sure what we're doing. We're doing the movies next week or novels or
whatever you want. You guys can tell us on Discord. The link should be in the description. Otherwise, I shall actually put it here before we go.
And also, I think it's a really funny note about like when I look at your rating on Rebels, and the reason why I knew Rebels existed and watched it was actually because of you.
Because I was so stoked for Rebels, dude. Yeah. Like I said, there are moments and stuff, but again, I was a little too old to really get, like, you know what I'm talking about.
No, 100%. I think maybe guys next week we'll do something lighthearted. I think perhaps we can rate the movies, and then perhaps next week, the week after that, we could do something even a bit more geeky. We can do the video game ratings because that'll be really fun to do.
I'll lose my mind, dude. Don't get me started on that. I actually am not looking forward to that because I'm so passionate. You think I'm passionate about this stuff? I'd love to see
on the gaming side of things, because I'd actually be really interested to see how you would then, after everything that has happened with Battlefront 2, with your involvement, I'd love to see what you would have given it at the start and what you give it now. I think that would be really interesting from your perspective.
It's changed, and it never usually changes. But actually, that era stuff has actually changed. And I never change my ratings usually. No, that's not true. I get caught up in the moment. I'm so gullible. If you put me on a drought for long enough and you dangle something, I can either be really mad that doesn't hit expectations, or I can be so excited that I go back and go, "What the fuck was I thinking?" So that will be an interesting one.
Yeah, definitely the video games. I'll create some tier lists for you.
Definitely, definitely. Okay, thank you guys so much. As always, thank you so much for watching. Can't wait to chat again. Join the community. This is what it's all about. We'll be chatting every day on Discord. Sweep has SWP1 on Twitch. Follow him, and also on Twitter. You're the same thing. Your handle same as on
Yeah.
screen.
Yes, pretty sure.
All I want to do is talk with
For
the
sure.
bros, build community, my people. Much love, and as always, may the force be with you. Always.
See you guys.